has brought me out of me. My love for you has brought me out of me. My love for you has brought me out of me. My love for you, 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 my
jeans. I get that from my dad. I'm not far from the tree. I feel like I'm a butterfly, sting like a beamer. I hate features. Done my running around with my head in the clouds, feeling lost and then found. When they woke up and frowned, tell myself I'm the man. I was right to be left. Now I'm back to myself. Who am I to keep on holding you from everything you want? I can see you and see what you want. Who am I to? Who am I?
Going straight, don't know where to go, wanna hide away. I'm reflecting myself. You are no good for me. Super dangerous man.
I've always been one of those, like, I prefer being complete as a player, so I don't like ignoring a role. I've been around esports for a long time. I've done a lot of stuff to try and encourage it. Like my first esports tournament was in 1998. To see Belong doing this kind of thing, to have it in a city and have a company get behind and finally push it out for anybody to come in and play. Like, it's not like the guys here are all like, you know, amazing players the moment they walk in. Some of them play once a week or once a month, or a couple of them have never played before when they come in. Come in for community night, pick up a team, they're hooked. That's it, right? I love it. I'm really, really proud to take part of it, to be honest. This is mostly grassroots, right? But the thing that's coming out of it, which is really cool for me, as much as it's like a bit beyond my level now, but teams like Stratford and a couple of other teams at the real top of Championship Overwatch can't speak for the other leagues much because I haven't watched them, but I know some of them are getting there as well. But specifically Stratford and a couple of other teams are really getting like semi-pro, pro level gameplay, and it's really, really cool to see that coming out of a grassroots tournament. It means they smash us when they play us, but just to watch them go against the other big teams, it's like watching United and City go against each other. You know, it's really cool.
Welcome back, everyone, to another season of Belong Arena Clash. I'm Maurits Chronicler Meuse, and I'll be joined today not by my co-caster of last season, because I'm actually filling in for him because he can make it tonight. It is Stuart Sin McLeod.
Yeah, well, great hearts of gallivanting in Madrid. We're going to be here casting some top quality Belong Arena action.
Really excited here, and one particular looking because we've seen a lot of these teams before. Portsmouth Pirates, of course, after a grueling match last Insomnia, were able to win once again because, let's be honest, I think in the history of Belong Arena Clash, they won it 4 out of 5 times. But the London Lionhearts really gave it the roll, and I'm really looking forward to see how these storylines will develop in the upcoming season. Definitely. And what I'm really hoping is that once we get into the groups of tonight, going to be looking at all the matches taking place, and more specifically, the matches that we're going to be watching tonight, which is the Tyneside Guardians and Nottingham Arrows taking on the Bristol Smugglers versus the Bradford Rams. But first, let's take a look at these groups as we see Pirates, like I said last time, as Sin seems to be having some audio issues, so we're going to hopefully can fix that soon. Pirates, last season's winners, but they come in with a relatively new team, a lot of the old players mixed, and the Spartans also really strong. Now, we saw last season that teams like the Guardians, like the Centurions, not really the biggest of impacts as of yet, so hopefully that changed for them this season as we take a look at group number 2. And there we see that the London Lionhearts, like we said, are runner-up from last season, did an incredible job.
This is the roster that we were highlighting for the games where we were chatting. It seems to be a roster that has a lot of...
And as with the Steelers, Smugglers, the Rams, and the Nighthawks, Rams and Nighthawks were some of my favourite teams from last season because, you know, even in the end, it wasn't really enough to get through it, to make it to playoffs. They were doing quite well and providing us with a lot of fun as well. Then moving on to Group 3 with the Claymores, the Brawlers, the Harriers, the Saints, and the Swarm. And the Manchester Swarm was another of those teams that, you know, really warmed my heart last season as they, despite all the adversity that we're facing, because we're facing obviously quite against teams that were quite strong, were able to just consistently give a spirited performance. And, you know, that's really what Belong Arena Clash is all about. Is hopefully we'll have Stu back soon. The Invincibles, the Hunters, the Leviathans, the Vikings, and the Enigmas. And the Invincibles last season were quite impressive as well. The Preston team really were able to handle their own. And we saw the same from the Humber Hunters. Now the Leviathans, the Vikings, the Enigmas, in the case of Enigmas, quite, you know, appropriately. They're kind of a mystery here. I'm really interested to see how these teams are going to do as we take a look at the first match of tonight. Tyneside Guardians taking on the Nottingham Arrows. As we see for the Guardians, Chris Carries You, Hiei Ikari, Hillier, Wilkes, and Gorge Symmetry. And on the other end, for the Nottingham Arrows, we got Mighty Boosh, Zungwo DG, Toxic Death, Wilco, and Ultimate Game Boy. And it's going to be an interesting match. Hopefully, we've had a lot of back and forth series in the Belong Arena Clash, even when the first map in a best of 3 can go one way or the other. It's always the question whether or not they're actually going to be able to continue on from there. So I'm really looking forward to see which of these teams is going to take the first game, and perhaps more importantly, who's going to take the series, because, like I said, it's really hard to call, because when you look at these two teams on papers, they're relatively even in terms of what I expect from them. In terms of general level of play, we see some diamond play, some platinum, a little bit lower as well. And that can create a really interesting mix depending on how well these teams work together and to what extent they're able to make use of the supposedly synergy that they've already built up. But we've also seen teams that, just come in to have fun and try their best and then not really perform as well as one might expect initially. And I think that we're going to get into Pick a Man soon, but for those of you, just tuning in now, maybe you're checking out the Guardians, who, if my recollection is correct, weren't participating last season, because I've never heard the word Tyneside. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm not from the UK, so all of these cities are kind of a big grey area for me, where I'm just learn more and more.
Our own Dutch boy here. Coming in with the you cost, and it's you casting from London Data in a yacht. Unfortunately, a couple of issues on my end, but trying to get them sorted as we go along. But the matchup today is going to be interesting. I want to see how these teams we're seeing a lot of different regions get a different hold of the meta, and all these different, like China's going for Olaf, like Korea playing more towards the Gragas.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And also, you have these new picks that come in, things like the recent Mordekaiser rework that just comes out of nowhere. I think the Tom Kench mini rework has been making some waves as well. And something that I always really like about Belong Arena Clash is that it doesn't happen that often that you see a team go for full meta. It started to happen as we got further and further into the tournament, but especially initially, teams are really happy to just play comfort, right? Whatever that may be. We've seen Singed Top absolutely demolish. Stuff like that can really, kind of come out of nowhere. And if you're comfortable in a champion at a level of play that might not be as high as the, level of play that you might usually see, as part of the fun as well, because I think, for me at least, what I really loved about casting Arena Clash was, she got to know the teams more, got to know the players more. It's really about all those players getting together, as hopefully Stu will be joining me shortly. Got to be careful there, by the way, with Stu and Stan, because I spent the entirety of last season talking to Stan, and I really, really don't want to sell you short like that.
Yeah, you don't want to get them the wrong way around. That's fair, but it's a lot easier. Yeah,
I like Stu. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm. But if you prefer Sin, we can go with that. But you don't have to try and pronounce my name. That's completely fine. I understand that. As hopefully we're getting into picks and bans shortly to take a look, see what we're going to be bringing here. What both the teams have prepared, to what extent they're going to be betting at comfort pins, as opposed to something a little bit more unorthodox, more into the realm of these pocket picks.
Yes, just trying to sort this out, but hopefully it.
That's it's generally I'd like to not have my co-caster muted.
What is another participant used my microphone?
Yeah, that's. Well, that would be something, wouldn't it? If you got repeatedly muted. Anyway, getting into pick and ban here, we see Sivir already taken out, in particular in combination with Yuumi. Also going to be looking at some nerfs fairly recently. See the Hecarim taken out there as well. And the Yasuo already been the way here. Now, Yasuo is, of course, kind of a solo queue threat, but kind of surprised, I got to say, that we're seeing him banned away right from the get-go, as we see the Ari getting banned away as well, and then the Pyke getting taken away. Pyke, of course, ever since we saw him getting picked up by G2 at MSI, has been kind of a resurgence, not just in the top lane, or in the support lane rather, but they just play him anywhere.
Yeah, yes. The Pyke is was really a counter to the Kennen. So it was meant to be a counter to the fact that the ranged top laners were so hard to beat and they were so hard to counter in lane. You would just have so much safety in locking in the Nico and the Kennen immediately, that the Pyke was meant to be something that could scale into team fights really efficiently. You could just roam outside the lane, be able to go mid and snowball there, and you still have kill pressure at pretty much all phases of the lane without being able to be poked out.
Yeah, and we see the Nautilus and the Kai'Sa getting picked up at one side. Of course, really nice synergy there, able to get the plasma stacks on top of one of the opponents relatively fast. And now we see Gangplank, Annie, and Warwick already getting picked up. Now, I wonder whether or not this Annie's a placeholder, as has been the case many a time. We see the Warwick as well, and I gotta assume that's going to be Warwick jungle here.
Generally, when you see Annie, you do assume the placeholder. I want to look at the other side right now. Nautilus, Kai'Sa, Sejuani. A hell of a lot of pick potential. A hell of a lot of the snowball off of the back of the Lander Nautilus hook. You've got the Sejuani CC. Kai'Sa can jump on top of it with her ultimate. It allows her to just shred through these people when you can stack up that CC to stack up a passive that much quicker and then snowball into the fights efficiently.
Indeed, and looking quite scary. So I'm really hoping that the Annie is not an Annie, because playing something as a mobile as an Annie into a Nautilus Sejuani.
Hey, Annie with cleanse, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like I get that Annie brings a lot.
God,
of...
yeah.
Oh,
with
okay.
Lissandra, no, you don't want to play that at all.
No, I mean, you have Gangplank, right? Like, Gangplank has Origins, he can kind of deal with the CC. But yeah, if it's actually any, it's going to be an absolute atrocious matchup, I gotta imagine, if Mac Wilks is able to put some consistent pressure on top of the Annie, because looking at the Tyneside Guardians here, they've just gone full meta. Like, there's nothing too surprising here for me.
I love what Tyneside have done. And if you look beyond the Aatrox, which is quite a difficult champion to play, it's all really ease of execution. It's press R to win. It's like land all the CC on one target, remove them at the start of the fight, win the rest of the fight 5v4. That's what this comp is all about. And if they can execute on that dream efficiently, then there's no way that we're going to see Nottingham Arrows even have a chance. So I'm looking for Kai'Sa Nautilus to get the snowball rolling early. If Lissandra has any pressure mid, once we see the matchup, she'll be able to snowball that into the bot side of the map. And Nautilus, he has that CC to be able to set up those ganks so efficiently. And if you can get like a 4v4 even in the bot lane, you win that so hard.
Yeah, and you got to be kind of scared here as the Nottingham Arrows. It looks like we actually will be getting an Annie here. Now, what Annie does provide is, of course, a lot of upfront burst and the AoE CC that you can land with the Tibbers, but look at a composition like the Guardians have. I don't even know if you're going to get that opportunity, because the only one that you really want to get that CC on is maybe the Aatrox. You know, if you can get that, but if he's able to get even a single reset on Zilch, you're not going to feel too good about it. It's just Kai'Sa, but try to get through Kai'Sa past Alessandra, Sejuani, and Nautilus. That's got to be hard.
So one of the picks that we got to look at here is the Warwick. It's a pick we don't see that often. He can go for the rejuvenation bead start to rush the Tiamat if he wants to, even though Tiamat's more expensive for most people. Because he has that option, he can build it for that same old price that it used to be, around the 1,200 gold mark. So it can be better for him to do that, but all the same, it's like one of the reasons we started to see him come back was the change to Wit's End. It synergizes with him so efficiently because you get the bonus magic damage on hit, you get the healing on hit, and you get all that MR. And then the fact that he does mostly magic damage already just synergizes with him so efficiently when you get to that phase of the game, whilst also making him tankier. So it's a nice little addition to a champion that was already kind of fringe, starting to show up in occasional places.
Yeah, I think the thing with Warwick is, especially ever since the changes that came through, I mean, where his suppression isn't point and click anymore, feels a lot more fair, which I think is a good call. I think just one single point and click suppression ultimate in the game is enough. And, because something like Lissandra, which is somewhat similar, but let's talk about this bot lane a little bit as well, because we already talked about how well the Kai'Sa and the Nautilus kind of match up with each other, though I do feel like, especially once you hit level 6, once the depth charge becomes available, it becomes incredibly strong. On the other hand, though, Vayne and Braum. Now, Vayne has been both directly and indirectly nerfed a couple of patches ago. She was really an AD carry that, on 2 items, power spike, and then from that point on, she really only got better now with the repeated hits to both her and to Rageblade, not as strong as it used to be.
Well, if you're talking Rageblade champions that got nerfed, Kai'Sa is one of the most prominent users of Rageblades. It's hit her just as hard. You can see both of these champions in terms of how they've adapted. Vayne going for the much more crit-oriented build, and Kai'Sa, she's adapted to go for the Muramana, which we've seen more often recently. So harder scaling, doesn't hit as hard in the early game, but once they reach the late game, uber powerful. And the one of the things that you have to see when you see these two go up against each other is how the players are thinking about the matchup. Because having been a coach myself, I know when you see the enemy locking Kai'Sa, that's where your AD carry is like, pick me Vayne, I'm going to stomp him. And it's the same in both matchups the other way around as well. It's a fairly even matchup that's just entirely skill-based.
And how do you think the Braum factors into that? Because Braum, of course, traditionally really strong in lane, able to get the Winter's Bite passive and get that going from there on out, try to CC people in these little skirmishes. But going up against the Nautilus, don't know if the Braum is really going to provide as much utility as he might otherwise, because Nautilus really is, go in, go hard, or go home. Whereas Unbreakable is so good against poke.
Yeah, it's like if you're going in all in on a Braum as a Nautilus, Braum isn't going to be turning around and trying to hit you. He's going to be running for his life because the jungler's going to have turned up. He's going to have been hit by every spell under the sun. So you can't really rely on Braum to turn those engages. It's very much Braum making his own engages on a Nautilus who's perhaps out of position, who's perhaps missed his hook. And you can utilize that.
And we're about to get into the game. Just taking a little while. I think it was some issues with some. It was not the Annie though. The Annie is actually coming through, but some skin related issues that hopefully will be sorted out soon. So let's take a look at this composition as a whole. So we got Gangplank versus Aatrox in the top lane, and that already to me is a little bit scary with how strong Aatrox is at the moment.
Yeah, the Aatrox is such a strong pick, as you say, and it's something that's not really been nerfed since they made the mini rework, which suddenly made him from unplayable to meta again in the top lane. So it's about snowballing a bit differently, though. It was previously just how safe he was, that if anybody tried to gank him, he'd just ult and run away, he'd have the revive, he was so safe. Now you can bully him in lane, you can punish him in lane, but is a Warwick Gangplank really going to be the lane to do that? I don't think so. So I think Aatrox is going to be allowed to get into those fights where you're going to see somebody CC locked for days. That moment, that frontliner, the moment that one person who's been hit by the Sejuani ult, the Lissandra ult, the Nautilus ult, they get even one auto attack off from an Aatrox onto that, he gets his reset going, and that's suddenly the team fight's lost from there. So I think it's really easy, as we said, ease of execution for Tyneside, and how well they can capitalize on the advantages they can build in the early game, and if they can capitalize on the positional mistakes to make these picks happen.
So with the kind of hyping up Tyneside, I got to agree with you there. Well, for me, one of the running themes of last season was as well, just keep it simple, get a composition that basically face rolls his way to victory and go from there. And I got to say, with the amount of CC and just team fighting prowess that you have, that's definitely a possibility here for the Guardians, but let's also take a look at what do we see for the Arrows. What are their possibilities? Because I got to say, even with a strong team fight like we have for Tyneside, if a Gangplank and Annie or Vayne gets ahead, doesn't really matter how much tankiness you have.
It's a very different style of pick composition when we look at this, because you can see the Annie, she has a lot of AoE CC she can utilize with her passive. You've got the Warwick, who has that fairly long range suppress, and of course the Braum on top of it. There's actually quite a large amount of pick potential in this roster, and if they can utilize that effectively to be able to make some picks in the mid game, which they have that level 6 mark, and snowball off the back of that without really being caught out of position, without lacking the vision necessary to get control of the map earlier, then perhaps we could see the side of the Arrows take over. But it's so hard when you can look at all the tools, all the consistency in the comp on the other side to see them winning out.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at the early game as well. Maybe we do see, like you said, Ultimate Game Boy starting off with the Rejuvenation beat, and already the first hook coming through here. Level 2 being hit by the bot lane, and that is already first blood getting picked up for the Tyneside Guardians here, and we talk about this bot lane, and they start off strong right from the get-go.
Well, that's why you pick Nautilus, and he shows up already. The level 1 hook. The moment they hit level 2, they're able to go all in on that. And Mighty Boosh still not level 2 when they make the play happen. That means they can easily pick up that first blood. It goes onto the AD carry as well, even though they use the Ignite. That's normally, when you see these all-ins at level 1, it's just to get control of the wave, and the support normally picks up the first blood. But being able to get it on the Kai'Sa, giving her the CS lead, giving her this injection of gold, she's already doing so well.
And that's going to make it a lot harder, as we do see some nice trading coming through from Toxic Death. Some action in the top lane has led to kind of an unfavorable trade, and the flash being blown there for Wilkes, even though Ultimate Game Boy was also forced to use his own. And looking at the Nottingham Arrows bot lane summoners, also no heal available for Zhongru, so he needs to be careful not to get caught like his support, because Mighty Boosh, he can't eat another death here, won't have his flash available either.
Yeah, that's the downside of really playing Vayne in one of these lanes. Vayne is a champion that has such short attack range. You play Vayne into Kai'Sa when you want to be able to go aggressive. You want to play the Vayne Nautilus. You don't want to play into the Nautilus. If you're playing maybe Vayne Pike or something like that, you can perhaps look at it. Even Vayne Lux, you can look at to deny the Nautilus, but it's just really hard to play against such an oppressive support right now. As Ultimate Game Boy, he takes a couple tower shots there.
He goes in so deep, gets pulled back there. Nice play from God Symmetry. He's not scared whatsoever, and without any follow-up from Ukli, it was from Wilco rather, it was really hard for Ultimate Gamer to really get anything going, and instead he takes so much damage. There comes the flash through, but immediately action in the bot lane as well as the ganks from Wilkes comes through, and the Tyneside Guardians looking incredibly strong here. Already almost a 1k gold advantage at 4 minutes, 2 successful ganks, and Wilco, he didn't have to use his flash, he got out there, so that's a good trade, but this bot side is really starting to worry me, Sin.
Yeah, it's exactly what we expected from the Nautilus. It's just once he goes in, Brom can't turn it around. He's not the guy who's trying to turn around the engage. He just wants to get out of dodge, and unfortunately hasn't been able to escape both times. And now that's going to be 0 and 2 from that support role. Vayne trying to hold on, but it's really difficult when you see the Kai'Sa's already 2 kills ahead, already has that pickaxe compared to nothing in your inventory. So, it's whether the Kai'Sa can snowball efficiently, whether we're going to see that Muramana pick up, or if she's actually going to go for a more snowball-centric build with a lot less scaling just to capitalize on the advantage she has now, rather than playing towards one later.
And Wilco, he remains in this lane, but he's just used his teleport, and already there is almost nothing left for him to do here. Just needs to sustain back up with his health pot, trying to maybe get some good Clapto procs and try and get some additional health that way, but it's not looking good. And like you said, the 2 kills have gone to the person who needs it most, to the Kai'Sa, as God Symmetry just putting out so much pressure here, although this hasn't really led to the biggest CS advantage. So there is still hope here for Nottingham Arrows, and the gold deficit has become a little bit smaller now. We see Ultimate Game Boy, though, a little bit behind, and I think that once Wilkes hit level 5 here of those Krugs, might start to see a bigger discrepancy here, but the pace of the game, really fast early on, but now it's slowed down just a little bit.
Yeah, so I want to actually look at this right now, where the mid lane matchup, it's something we weren't really expecting, because Annie normally used as a placeholder pick, like you said, but the Annie is actually in-game, and she's building up a CS lead early. Lissandra, since the changes to her passive, where she doesn't get the free spells anymore, actually has a few mana troubles in the early game, so she can't push in as hard. What Annie provides is the fact that her Q gets a cooldown reset and a mana refund whenever she kills a minion with it. So she's consistently executing minions with a Q, consistently controlling the wave, building up those stuns, and zoning Lissandra off of it. So until we see like a higher rank Q, some more wave clear come out from Hylian, he's really going to struggle to push in Toxic Death consistently.
And kind of need to do that if they want to make the real use of that Lissandra. Of course, a pick that excels when you have some setup, or when it provides the setup, when you're able to find a gank somewhere. And once again, God Symmetry getting pressured here, not that much damage on him, and Ultimate Game Boy, he's only level 4. So instead, he decides to run for the hills, go back into his own jungle, but this experience deficit is quite big. Wilco gets pulled back there. God Symmetry, can he finally find the kill? Doesn't look like it is. Once again, Wilco just walks off, gets taken low repeatedly, but even though it looks bad every time we take a look at those top lane trades, in terms of CS experience, the difference really isn't there.
The thing I gotta say that this is really ballsy from Wilco. Normally you see Gangplanks in these kind of matchups where you're gonna be going roughly even in melee range. You go for the Grasp of the Undying to be able to get that bonus health, to be able to get the bonus sustain in lane and stay in lane longer to be able to farm up more efficiently without having to use your TP. No, he went for the Kleptomancy. He wants to be hitting him in the face as hard as he can to get as much money as he can off of it. He's getting bank, and this is what he wants to do to snowball the game efficiently. If he can get enough of a gold lead in the early phases to make this rune choice worthwhile and not be a liability come the mid game, then it's really going to be great to see him get that item advantage, get a few hundred gold into his pocket, because the Gangplank, if he does get to that Triforce spike earlier than expected, that's where he really shines.
Agreed. As Wilks starting to clear out the vision surrounding that Ocean Dragon, they want to go for that Glacial Prison and Frozen Tomb available, two of these big team fight lockdown ultimates. And Ultimate Game Boy has not had the Infinite Duress available yet, so he needs to farm up. He needs to hit level 6 as soon as he can, but they're not going to give him the time. Wilks, though, taken very low. I don't think we're going to see a steal attempt here, though, and with Ikari tanking on the Nautilus, that's going to be the Ocean Drake going over to the Tyneside Guardians.
Yeah, and with the pressure they've had bot lane all game, no wonder, because there's nothing he can do when he gets hit like this.
Yeah, and, you know, before we really have the chance to take a look at it, for the third time this game, Mighty Boosh gets hooked. There is follow-up, and that is pretty much the end of that story, as both Flash and Ignite get used. So there is a lot invested in this, but as long as it gives more kills to your Kai'Sa, you're going to be more than happy that now as Wilks have picked it up here, but a little bit of extra tankiness on the Sejuani is nothing to scoff at either.
Yeah, and Sejuani getting these items ahead of the Warwick right now means that she's going to be really impactful in the mid game, because now that she's got an experience advantage, she hits that level 6 first. Obviously, she's able to make the plays before Warwick's on the map to make counter ganks happen. With his fear on top of the fact that he's got his ultimate available, his counter gank is actually very relevant. So I like that Wilks was able to make those plays with the cadence on him, because he has that experience advantage he's been able to build just by CSing more efficiently and having lane pressure.
And now a lot of damage coming through. There comes the cleanse from Toxic Death, tries to run away. Hylian does have the flash available, but doesn't want to go for it. Probably expecting a flash from Toxic Death as well, but feel like if he played that a little bit more aggressive, he might have been able to pick up the kill. Now a 2k gold lead here at 10 minutes for the Tyneside Guardians. While the gold lead is quite big, the tempo of the game doesn't feel as overbearing as one might expect if you see that already early on in the game there was quite a gold lead for the Arrows. You see the engagement here on top of Wilco. He tries to stay alive for as long as he can, but Wilks comes in. There is the Infinite Ultimate Gable right on top of God Symmetry, who has not got the reset yet, but there is the Permafrost, and that is the end of both Ultimate Game Boy and Wilco as they get taken down, and 2 kills for the Tyneside Guardians once again.
And that right there is why you pick Sejuani, the 2v2 pressure. Sejuani has so much pressure because of the passive.
And there we see, finally, in the bot lane,
the shield
turn. They're still alive. He is able to finally get that kill, no matter what. The Winter's Bite Brock not coming through. And the shield from the Killer Instinct there means that he stays alive. And now Mighty Boosh. It was looking so good, but the Tyneside Guardians look dominating here.
What a play by barely staying alive, barely able to use the shield to survive the damage at the end of the Nautilus ultimate. 4-0-1 now, building this Muramana build as well, so still going for that late game prowess over the snowball. And when he's got this much of a lead, I don't think it matters, because he's going to be hitting that 2-item spike before Vayne really even gets any kind of relevant strength.
And I talked about the tempo of the game being not as fast as one might expect, but now a double kill, 2-for-0 in the top lane, 2-for-0 in the bottom lane, even with how badly that was looking as they found a hard engage on top of Hiei. Now all of a sudden we're looking at the 7-0 score in 11 minutes, a 6k gold lead now. That snowballed really, really fast, and now the Nottingham Arrows, they need to try and somehow stem the bleeding, find a way to get themselves back into this game, because I mean, the late game is fine, but it's not like the Tyneside Guardians aren't looking dominating if they can get to a teamfight stage.
What's scary for me right now is when I was looking at that top lane and Wilks was sitting against Wilco in the lane, they were both even in terms of experience, and in fact Wilks had a higher CS. So when your Gangplank can't really efficiently 1v1 the enemy jungle Sejuani, you know you've got issues.
And there is the combination of Cicito, what you're talking about. Toxic Death, though, still alive, is able to get out, even with how low he was taken.
There's
And
the
now the
counter
lockdown
gang.
is coming through. Ikari gets taken low, tries to hook away, but does not find a good dredge line. And finally, Nottingham Arrows are on the board, and we see Wilkes try and go for the American Sniper, throws the Glacial Prison, but it's not enough.
If American Sniper you mean Smithy, then let's go with that. But he misses it by a country mile. He's 3-0-1. He has had a good game so far. He's been exactly where he needed to be on the map. And it means that you can see that he's managed to build up this amount of tankiness. He's actually really relevant in terms of 1v1 potential with anyone on the map because of the way his passive works. It's just a case of being able to get into a fight with the unit, not just be on his own. He was trying to just get a little snipe off onto Toxic Death there at the end, maybe a little bit too cheeky.
Yeah, I don't mind though. With even though the cooldown is quite sizable, I think you're going to have it up by the time that the next dragon is going to come around, and a Rift Herald or a Rift Scuttler fight rather. Even at this point in time, the lead is just so big for the Guardians here, Sid, and I have a hard time seeing how the Arrows are going to find their way back into it unless we see some really big overextension like the one we saw just now. That hook had hit.
Yeah, if that hook had hit, he was probably gone, but you would have had to thread the needle through the minions to really see that come to fruition. All the same, you can see the pressure that they have. You can see how they can make 3 people back away from a tower just by walking up to it. But you can see that Kai'Sa picked up all 5 shards in the bot lane. She's picked up a couple shards there in the top lane as well. Now they're going to drop the Rift Herald mid just after the 14-minute mark. So they're going to blow this map wide open.
And Ikari, he hasn't had enough, tries to go for the hook, but that one goes a little wide. Able to find him consistently. Ireland does still have the depth charge available, just goes in, flashes on, hits the passive, uses the depth charge, but he might have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew. Does go down there in the very end. The final Q coming through as Wilco tries to go for the 1v1, but it's not looking too good.
As he's missing every single Q here. Is that next Q?
Yeah.
Does he get it? No, it still ends up being the kill. It's not been long enough, and he does just try and stall it out for as long as possible, waste of Aatrox's time, but you can see how well Tyneside has been snowballing this off of the plays they've been making. They've been roaming around the map, trying to blow it wide open, and the reason that you see see these picks being made over and over again is look at the vision line from Tyneside. Look at all these pink wards littered up the river, pushing deep into the enemy jungle. It means everywhere that the Arrows want to go, they're having to face check. Everywhere that they want to fight, they're having to walk in blind. They're being hit by Nautilus hooks. They're being hit by Sejuani engages. They just can't step up. They don't have anybody tanky enough yet.
And now Ultimate Game Boy, he's really getting taken down in his own jungle. Will be able to get away with his life, but yet another Glacial Prison not hitting there. But the real problem is that Nottingham Arrows are just being denied so much resources, and it's starting to show in the CS numbers across the board. I do gotta say though, Sin, coming into this game, we were kind of, Annie, is she really going to be relevant? And I gotta say, Toxic Death is having a really good game. Hasn't died yet, almost like getting that proto belt. And against a Nautilus Lissandra Sejuani, it's quite an achievement not to have died, especially with how the game has been going for the Arrows this far.
I think a lot of it does come down to the fact that they saw the cleanse in Champion Select and they go, okay, let's play through every lane other than the cleanse lane, so we never have to worry about that. They tried to make one play mid lane pretty much onto the Annie all game long, and it didn't work out for them. And then since then, we've seen the plays top lane, we've seen the plays bot lane. It's been working out for them really well. So Toxic Death, he's just been made a non-factor by the fact that Tyneside shows their targets well.
Yeah, and we got to see some amazing ultimates to come through here as Wilco does get knocked up, but does not get pulled back there as he tries and maybe go for God Symmetry, who did overextend there a little bit. They need to be able to finally ultimate there. Ultimate Game Boy still level 8, 3 levels down. The speed up comes through. Well, does find the suppression, but there's no follow-up damage coming through from Wilco, and it looks like God Symmetry, he barely took any damage there, and he just flies off. Arrows in the wind, not afraid of anything.
It's like the bonus movement speed from his ultimate on top of the fact that he just killed a minion to get the Black Cleaver passive as well. There's no way you can keep up with him right now. It's just means he gets an easy escape there. They commit quite a lot to it though. They commit the Work ultimate, they commit the Gangplank ultimate. And this is just onto the split pushers. So you see all those resources being committed to the bot side. Look at what they're setting up on the top side of the map. They're pushing Vision deeper. They're setting up on this tower. And they know there's nothing that can be done in response by Nottingham.
Coach Symmetry's getting taken really low. His 1v1 still persists, and there comes Ultimate Game Boy. Finally wants to find the kill here. Wilco needs to be really careful. Can't get taken down, and there is another kill coming through for the Nottingham Arrows as the passive from Warwick makes it basically impossible to get away, even when you're Aatrox.
But like we said, the moment that was happening, the top lane tower had been set up. Because they committed so much time and resources to that bottom side, it means that the map is now opened up. All 3 outer towers are down. You can see how deep the vision's being pushed in. You can see all these resources being denied away from the enemy jungle. And it means the Ultimate Game Boy, yeah, he picks up a kill for himself, but he loses more than a kill's worth of gold just in the jungle camps.
Small victory, Sim. We'll take it for the Nottingham Arrows at this point, because if you can't celebrate a kill on a pretty fat enemy top laner, then it's not looking too good, and that is kind of the problem here. It's basically since the first few minutes of the games where we've seen the Tyneside Guardians going aggressive with Akari, just finding those Dretz lines continuously, the Nottingham Arrows have been having a really hard time to keep up. And
that's the sad thing. It's not even like they're really making the wrong plays. They're just being forced into lose-lose situations consistently because of engages like this.
And there is absolutely nothing that Ultimate Game Boy can't do. Gets taken out almost immediately. We see Ilie flash forward for another route in Toxic Death. Is he going to go on his first death of the game? It does look like the Cathian Rain is more than enough. And now Zungo is trying to maybe make something work as the Vayne, but is still alive. And Wilco actually picked up a kill on Akari there. He's really the only one on the Tyneside Guardian side. And not a kill there. The shutdown comes through. Are we witnessing a throw here from the Guardians? Because I think Ilie is going to get taken down as well.
That was a real overstatement of strength there as they dive beyond the tower, trying to finish off the Vayne. Actually flashes for the auto just to proc the permastun. The permafrost, rather. And it's an overstatement. It's an overforce. And they get punished hard for it. And that's a window, though, because this shutdown gold from the 403 Sejuani, as it was, went directly into the pocket of Vayne, the hyper carry in the late game that you want to put this gold onto. So they're opening up windows for Nottingham Arrows to come back that just shouldn't be there when they're 6.5k gold down.
Indeed, and Nottingham Arrows is still looking amazing at 20 minutes, but they are showing that they're not giving up just yet. They try and continuously look for these opportunities, but now with Baron coming online soon, I think the stakes are going to be a lot higher when they try and move out of the map. Looks like their vision line has kind of caught up now. They have been able to, at least in the top side, kind of reclaim control of their own jungle, but don't think the Guardians are going to let them have that for very long.
Yeah, it's just on the back of the reset. They have the time to be able to push up and try and deny Baron for a bit just after it's spawned, but that's all they can really do, buy time for themselves. And that's what they need, though, time. You look at the Vayne, you look at the Gangplank. If you give these members time, they will be able to shred the enemy backline. It's just a case of, can they put down their damage and deny Kai'Sa?
And with someone like your Warwick already being 50 CS behind here, I have a really hard time seeing him making a big impact. And I do feel like that's kind of necessary because the Gangplank is not going to provide a real front line like the Sejuani does. So you need to find your value in another way. As you know, Tyneside Guardians say, well, we've pretty good control Baron. And mind you, they've not been spotted here. And I think that the Arrows...
Like Kai'Sa.
The Arrows don't see this because they feel safe because of the scuttle vision that is there. But if you take the Blast Cone, no vision.
They managed to get it. They sneak away the Baron, and the fact that the Aatrox is pushing bot lane as well means that this is even more unawares from Nottingham, and they just get caught with their pants down, and suddenly this team that was already dominating the map, or was already dominating vision pressure, has just been given the Baron for the Aatrox to split push with. This is even more windows of opportunity. Now they're going to get the Mountain Dragon likely, and then be able to set up these sieges so quickly to be able to burst down these towers.
Yeah, and the towers were already falling very rapidly, even without any Baron buff. And now if you have Hiei, who's as strong as he is currently with the Rage Bait just now finished, it's going to get even worse. The Mountain Dragon helping that as well, of course. And I think that those two inners are not going to be remaining alive very much longer here, Sin, because it's not looking good for the Arrows. What way do they need to find to try and maybe get back into this game? Like, they force an ultimate out of Gorge Symmetry, which is nice, but that's not the real problem. The real problem is barreling down the mid lane.
See, that's the problem, though. What you're saying is, what can they do? And the idea is they have to find a pick. They have to collapse on a side lane. They have to find members out of position on rotations. And they just can't. When you see the collapse onto Aatrox, he just pops out and runs away. They've got the double TP. They've got the flashes up. They've got the safety that they have just from the fact that they've been able to play the map so well, to be able to rotate through these lanes without even being spotted on a ward. It's so difficult when you've picked a cleanse lane up against the double TP, now to be forced into a 1-3-1 scenario. You just see the towers being chipped away at. There's nothing really Toxic Death can do, but just watch his tower fall.
Indeed, has no backup either, and of course after the Baron, no reset had come through yet for the Guardians, so they decide, well, we got a little bit of chip damage, finally pick up the top side turret.
When you give it a reset directly into Baron buff, you don't want to reset again. You kind of want to get the tempo back onto the map. So yeah, they finally get the reset. They get all that gold to spend, and now we can see the fully completed Muramana from here, and that's going to be his third item. He's building towards the Zhonya's as well, likely as the fourth item. So this AP Kai'Sa going to be hitting like an absolute truck.
And the Plasma passive allows you to really effectively shred through tanks, but I gotta say, Sin, if I look at the Nottingham Arrows, I think she's going to shred through anyone regardless of whether or not they would build tank.
I mean,
because
it's missing
with how
health,
fat she
put it
is,
that way. It's got a missing health ratio, so she's going to be using it to pretty much get last hits.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, couldn't get that one though.
That's a little bit of error in team communication there, not giving all the kills to your AD carry. That's a rookie mistake right there.
I was looking up a statistic the other day, and it's interesting that Kai'Sa has more pentakills in the 1 year since her release in competitive play than Caitlyn or Lucian has had since their release.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's because of the missing health,
that.
yeah. It's because of the missing health on her passive. She's just allowed to last hit so efficiently. So when she gets to the late game, she always gets the pentakills. It gets to the point where they're a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, as Killer Instinct gets used, and there goes Wilco trying to do his very best to maybe make something work, and Toxic Death goes for a 1v1 here. What else can he do? And the answer is unfortunately not a lot, as the top laner gets taken down now. The inner in the bot lane will fall as well. And Tyneside Guardians here at 25 minutes, still in full control of his game. Now build up a almost 10k gold lead, and with the turret dropping, crashing that as well. It's not looking good for the Arrows, who might try and go for a Hail Mary play with a gold deficit this big and a composition that the Guardians have that is so good at team fighting. I don't really know what they can do.
Because they can barely hold off the bottom lane wave, and then the top lane tower falls down as well, and they lose the engage.
And Dresslight comes through. Toxic Death stays alive for a really long time, but here in the end does find the last hit, as he always does. Wilkstrader gets taken down real low. There goes Ikari, and we might have seen another overextension here from the Guardians. Yes, a nice engagement on Toxic Death, but they do really use everything. And then the Vayne, even though she hasn't had the biggest of impacts yet, can't just disregard her.
Exactly. You can't just pretend the Vayne doesn't do any damage and the Vayne won't be relevant this game. Otherwise, things like that happen. She picks up another shutdown, and you're lucky it wasn't Heya this time, or that would have been a 1k gold instantly into her pocket, starting to catch up in items that way. But all the same, Tyneside, we saw once again what's made them so strong this game, forcing Nottingham Arrows into lose-lose situations on the map. They forced them into trying to defend bot lane desperately, losing the top lane tower, overcommitting bot lane, losing a member, and the overextensions, though, are where Tyneside have been punished. And if you can see more of those, maybe you even have to start looking at game 2. If Nottingham can find those overextensions and punish them consistently with maybe a better rounded team composition rather than one that's so disjointed, the Tyneside, maybe they don't get such a big lead, maybe they don't snowball so far ahead, and they can throw the game much, much easier.
That being said, I gotta say, I kind of expected there to fall at least one inhibitor to fall, and the Arrows, even though it's been looking dire, haven't actually lost an inhibitor on this Baron push. So that is something that was kind of surprising to me, because I saw the Baron go down. I was like, well, this is probably going to be the end of that. But that is not the case yet. The base.
Do you really want to live or die by an ocean dragon? Is that what you're thinking, Nottingham? Do you really want to live or die by fighting on an ocean dragon? And they make the right decision to back off here, because if they lost a fight for that and cost themselves the game, that's kind of shameful.
I mean, I don't know if I want to call it shameful. We'll call it unfortunate. Definitely.
When you overcommit to the point where you're fighting over an ocean dragon to win or lose the game, you've clearly made some mistakes.
An ocean dragon has value, Sin. It gives you sustain. It means that the opposing team isn't going to be able to as easily win on the back of an elder dragon. And this game,
they overcommit to one side. They overcommit to one side, but then they don't commit to the Baron, which then costs them quite dearly, unfortunately, because now this Baron is going to lead 3 waves directly onto the inhibitors. They're likely to fall with no towers to defend them. And this is looking to be the end for Nottingham, as unfortunately they've just been spread too thin.
They really have, and they need to find some miracle engage, take one member down, and still somehow have enough resources left to get themselves another team fight, because if not, it is looking like the Tyneside Guardians might be on their final push of the game here, as the first inhibitor is sure to fall. Wilkes stepping really far forward, is going to get tagged down a little bit. Silverbolt is going to through everyone, and there we see the suppression coming through on Hiei. He immediately flashes out, is able to stay alive for an extended amount of time, but Ikari has already been taken down, and there we see another kill coming through for the Vayne. Hiei, he's still alive, but is it enough? I don't know if it is, and somehow they hold on yet again as they take an effective 4v5 fight here, because Gorge Symmetry was nowhere near that. And the Vayne once again comes through big here. Yes, 2 inhibitors are lost. It's still not over for the Nottingham Arrows as they cling to this game.
And they're giving her another item, but he's not going to let them base. He's not going to let them fully reset. He's going to pile the pressure on and get that third inhib, so they're pinned into the base. They can't find a fight anywhere outside of those walls right now, with the 3 Supermoon waves barreling down towards them. This is trapping them in, and meaning that you get a fight on your terms. You get to decide where you fight and when you fight, if you are the side of Tyneside.
Yeah, but I gotta say, Sin, I'm getting kind of worried that we see these repeated fights from Tyneside where, with the lead that they have, they seem a little bit over aggressive here as they hard commit. And I gotta say, a really, really nice ultimate there from Ultimate Game Boy, because he's the reason that he isn't really impacting that fight, as he needs to immediately QSS, heal, and just try and get away as soon as he can, while giving so much time to Zongyu to just shred through the rest of the team. And it doesn't matter how fed your Sejuani is, no one is safe for the procs of Silverbolt arrows. Yeah,
the Vayne just does so much damage right now that the Sejuani just can't defend against that. And when she gets singled out from the rest of her team, as you saw Lissandra and the Vayne and the Kai'Sa rather fighting towards the bottom side of the map, it was just too disjointed. When you get split up like that with this hard 5v5 comp that we're looking at, they can't really survive, and they just get torn to pieces. Divide and conquer.
Now, is it looking good for the Arrows? No, I would not say so. 3 inhibitors are down. And I said last time what might be the final push. It wasn't yet at 28 minutes, now at 30 minutes. Once again, an engagement. But Wilco gets taken down before the fight's going to He gets out somehow. Mighty Push does get taken down there by Wilkes. Gorge Symmetry comes in, and this might very well be the end of the first game here of the Belong Arena Clash Summer Championship. And we see that in the end, the Tyneside Guardians will take the victory here, up 1-0 over the Nottingham Arrows. And I gotta say, that was kind of an anticlimactic fight after how long they were able to hold on.
Yeah, Nottingham Arrows looked for another solid engage again. We saw the 2 members out of position, the 2 members on their own, and think, right, we got to go for this. This is the Kai'Sa. We can pick her off. We can pick off the Nautilus, one of the primary engage tools. If they don't have that, we get to zone them off of the Nexus towers. Perhaps we can survive. But the moment they jump in, everybody else comes barreling over the wall. Everybody else is right there, ready to pounce, and they capitalize. They get the 5v5 that they wanted for 2 or 3 fights in a row, and finally they're able to execute.
And Ikari, of course, they're able to bait the rest of the enemies in, whereas earlier in the game, he had a couple of moments where he was a little bit too far forward. Now, that was really offset by the amount of hooks that he was able to hit, the amount of engage that he was able to fight, but that over-aggression really set the stage for executing a bait like that. Here was still fine. Wilco stayed alive for longer than I expected, but still wasn't able to really get any damage through at that point in time. And let's be honest, it was still a fight from a 10k deficit, so everything had to go perfectly. It didn't. And
Can we honor Vayne for tilt proof there? Like, support goes 0 and 5 in the laning phase, still comes out, shows up in the fights, finishes around the level of 4, 2 and 5. Fairly strong performance, and still looking to be still looking to be a relevant threat in the coming games. It's just when you have that Nautilus in the bot lane, the engage pressure onto your support is so prevalent at all times. Maybe if you have a more self-sustainable bot lane or one that has their own engage pressure, that you can perhaps turn that around, maybe look to see what you can do in game 2, because these teams aren't just massively mismatched.
I got to agree with you there, although I do feel like I've seen these kind of games where a team gets a really big lead, then they kind of sit on it for a little bit, as we saw there in the mid game, where they picked up a lot of kills and they snowballed the gold, and just kind of not as fast as one might expect, just picked up all the objectives. Now, in game number 2, I expect either we're going to see a complete stomp from the Guardians as they just kind of adapted to what the Arrows do, or, like I hope, we're going to see the Arrows come back here. But if they want to come back, if they want to take this best of 3 to the final game, what do the Arrows need to do here? Sin, you already mentioned team composition, and after seeing this game, is there anything else that you want to see them switch up as we go into the second game?
Honestly, I have to look at the draft quite prevalently because it was where all the tools were given over in those early phases, and it made it so much more difficult for Nottingham to really do anything. So I want to see them get these zone control tools, the ability to deny fights, these disengage tools, because it's very, very clear that Tyneside want to go all in, hard engage, and you need to be able to deny that, be able to pick fights on your own terms. So
concretely, maybe take away the Nautilus. Don't know if you feel like that was an essential pick.
I think that switching sides, it's much more of the ability to pick it first is much more prevalent. So I think that you're willing to give up some other things to be able to get that Nautilus first if the bot lane is the crux of your matchup. So I wouldn't say they have to take that away.
Okay, very well. I'm really curious what they're actually going to see from the Arrows. And I got to say, Tyneside Guardians, couple of mistakes here and there. And again, some of the better teams, you might see those punished quite heavily. You know, that final or penultimate push, rather, where they go in, free open inhibitors, and not really finding what they're looking for. I mean, they get away with the inhibitors regardless, but those are the kind of things that you can't really get away with. Hopefully, we don't see that in game number 2, as hopefully we'll be getting into pick and ban rather shortly. We're currently waiting on the lobby, and then as soon as that is all ready, we're going to be going into game number 2. If you're just tuning in, we just saw the Tyneside Guardians pick up a rather comfortable win against the Nottingham Arrows, but they're not out yet. We're going to see whether or not they can make it to the next game in this best of 3. And what are your expectations, Sin, after looking at that first game?
Well, we've kind of laid out what we expect from pick and ban, but in game, really, I'm looking at a lot more of adaptation towards the jungle in the early game, because we saw that the Warwick was pretty much shut out through the early phases. He was 2 levels down. By the time he hit 6, it was already level 8 from the Sejuani, who had been able to just get much more in terms of CS, farm that much more efficiently, and gank much more efficiently, which meant that the Warwick was not really able to make the plays until we saw that play mid lane, the overextension there, where he was able to pick up a kill. And it's so rare that you can see a Warwick keep up with somebody like a Sejuani. So perhaps you need to buy into like a level 2 gank, an early gameplay. You really get these early game strats off so you can build an advantage before you start to get outpaced.
I got to say, though, if you talk about an early game advantage, looking at how dominant Tyneside looked from really the first minute, I feel like that can really go 2 ways. Like either you really buy into that and then it goes really well, or we see a repeat of what happened just now, but then even worse so, because I think that the saving grace here was that they have the Gangplank, which is quite a TPS threat. They had the Vayne, who, even without getting too or being given too much space, was able to take over the game a little bit at times if the Arrows could find a team fight like that. So
yeah. So the issues I have with I think that it's really hard to play that way if you're giving up the Nautilus without picking Lux into it. And if you're giving up Sejuani plus a melee laner, that 2v2 is nigh unbeatable, especially by a Warwick Gangplank, who won't really have that much strength in those early phases. So if you're buying into those fights, which they did in the 2v2 and they did in the bot lane, you're buying into disaster, and that's exactly what Tyneside was able to capitalize on.
So, want to see you switch up. If you're Tyneside here, though, you're feeling very comfortable. A little bit of errors here and there, but all in all, that was kind of an easy game for them. I love the cheeky Baron play where they all took the blast going over the wall, not showing any vision. And like you say, with something like a Kaiser, you just shred through that Baron so incredibly quick. And then from there on out,
completed especially,
yeah. And from there on out, there wasn't really anything that they were able to do anymore. I'm really curious. I hope we can see the Arrows make a comeback here, but with how well the Guardians have been looking, it's got to be rough.
It's definitely going to be rough to see. We need to see a completely 180 really in this, because they lost early, they lost mid, they lost late. We need to see at least some winning matchups, somebody shining through to be able to find these plays, because it really felt like the plays weren't really on the same page. They tried to make a couple of engages where they're like, let's just engage on Aatrox because he's on his own, and they were all in vision when they tried to make the play. Aatrox instantly just ults out the way. They need to all be ready to capitalize on these mispositions instantly, rather than just relying on a Sejuani literally to flash on you under tower to be able to turn it.
So, Sin, as you've already hinted at earlier, you're a coach. You're the coach for the, saying this hypothetical, you're the coach for the Nottingham Arrows. And
yeah.
You're going to game number 2. Like, what do you say to those players? And I don't mean, like, don't focus too much on the draft, because I feel like we've kind of talked about that extensively. Yeah. So honestly, what do you say to psych them up, to get them ready for the next game, to really get their spirits going?
So you come into this kind of game, and you've seen that they've been stomped so hard in game 1, and you have to make sure they know.
Is that how you would say to team you got stomped?
No,
like
I'm laying it out like this is the setup for it. Okay.
Good.
Is what you want to say to the team is you want to make sure that they know that this can be just a blip on the radar. This is a best of 3. They have the ability to turn this around. They have the player strength to turn it around. You can talk about how the Vayne showed up. You did talk directly to the AD carry and say, we know that you can perform if we put the resources on you. So I want you to be able to show up in this second game. I want you to be able to dunk that opposing bot lane and show us why you picked the Vayne in the first place.
Okay, so that's for the ADC. Any other? Is that it? Like, I was kind of. I mean, it's kind of mean of me to kind of expect a big.
Well, the thing is, that's the thing here. When you're building a strategy, you generally have one player you want to focus around in the early game, and that's the player you want to psych up.
Well, we're not talking strategy, I said. You misunderstand. We're talking spirit. We're talking like you want your team to win that a fighting spirit trophy at the end of Long Arena Crash, right? You want to inspire them, even with
you want to
how
go
rough
full
the
like
game was.
You boys have hearts of lions, and you will show up today and prove that your courage is stronger than anything they can throw at you.
And this is don't forget, this is the first game of an entire season, right? So I wouldn't ask you to pull this out right now.
Our backs are against the wall. We're on the verge of elimination in this first game of the season, in this first best of 3 that we've played so far. But you guys need to prove that all this work, all this time that we've spent on this season will be enough to carry us through and get us to that championship.
Yeah, man, that got me right there. That's what I was looking for. Thank you, Sin. Hopefully the Nottingham Arrows have that kind of spirit. Maybe they were listening, kind of thinking, what do we do? Maybe listen to the casters. They always have the best ideas. If
they
buy into that.
They should. We're casters. We have great ideas. Just don't listen to some of the NA casters, the guys who specifically think that Omreka is a great item and should be built on everyone. Just ignore those guys.
Okay, so no Omreka. Zizirot's okay.
No. Zizirot's fine, especially if you sell it in the base.
So you buy it and then drop it.
Sell it. Exactly. The old strat that I think Yellow Star came up with.
That's the only thing that you do in terms of Zizirot. Like, you're not a fan of the old Zizirot Darius or something.
I mean, like, there's a few champions you can really make a Zizirot work with and you can really sell me on. Zizirot Darius is not one of them. I think Darius actually transitions quite well into team fights. He wants to be able to 5v5. You can get Yorick with Zizirot easily. Yorick can get the ghouls on top of the Zizirot minions, and you can just charge that down the tower. I remember the thing I used to do back when Banner of Command was an item and it still gave AP, was split push Heimerdinger, where basically you get the Banner of Command minion that takes no damage. And because the turret spends ages killing the Banner of Command cannon minion, you can put all your turrets under tower. The tower doesn't target any of them, and they all hit the tower. So you shred it instantly by putting your ult turret and all your mini turrets aiming directly at the tower.
Yeah, I gotta say that sounds like a great strategy, man.
That on top of Zizirot as well. It was actually pretty disgusting for a while, but
I also think
not really relevant anymore because of the Banner being gone.
I think it's good that that's not in the game anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
But it does sound very fun.
Yeah, like it's the kind of thing when you see like a Nasus up against you, like there's nothing he can do to stop me from just pushing him in permanently. It was just so fun.
She's gonna get taken down slowly but steadily. So you talk about this this banner of commanders. We're waiting for the teams, guys. We're getting to pick a banner as soon as we can. Don't worry about that. But if you talk about these innovative builds, like this hidden OP kind of stuff, what is your hidden OP tip at the moment? Like, what is something that you think that, like, no one else believes me, but I think this is actually broken?
Pike Lux bot lane.
That's it. Pike Lux.
Pike Lux spot lane is one of the things that I've been looking at recently because it's just you land one binding or one hook and they're instantly dead.
So
it's the full combo. And then Lux is the one taking the CS, by the way.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's basically like a variation on, stuff like Talia Pantheon. What else do we got in that vein? Exactly. What was the other one? Jarvan Pantheon, I think.
There's been a few. One of the other ones that comes to mind is the classic Zillion Tahm Kench, where you put a bomb on a minion and you spit the minion at them so the bomb explodes on them.
Okay, but that's not actually good, right? Like that's
okay. That one's not actually good. But however, Sion is pretty good. Like Sion and like Nautilus and things like that. Thresh, Alistair, these classic ones.
I'm willing to believe that. As we see, we got back into Pick and Ban. Then we're talking about Sin's favorite builds. I'm going to be asking you a lot more of these if we hit another break in between games for a little bit. As once again, the Sivir, the Yasuo, no change ups here. Ahri also taken away, and thus far, Pick and Ban seems to be going exactly the same way as last time.
Yeah, a lot of target bans, as you can see from one side, but on the other side, really much meta bans. You see the Sivir and the Hecarim, but although Yuumi is the final ban, it's just like, it's just still so ridiculous right now in the oppression it provides in bot lane.
Yeah, Yuumi is a funny one because I remember the first couple of days that she was released and everyone was complaining loudly. And talk about just released and complaining loudly. The Lord of Death and Metal has been very popular since its rework, and so has the Frog been ever since he got reworked. So that's going to be a fun top lane we got there. Broken against broken.
Okay, if this is Tahm Kench top lane, that's definitely fair, but if this could still potentially be the Tahm Kench in the support role, I want to see Tahm Kench top lane versus Mordekaiser. I think that would be hilarious, but it's just fairly unlikely at the moment, although, Sejuani Mordekaiser as a 2v2 is going to be unstoppable.
I think Mordekaiser in general, if he can actually get on top of his targets, then you're good, right? Like, that's all you need. And Sejuani, of course, provides, and Neeko, of course, also hasn't been as popular ever since we saw her. I feel like she was a point where she was popular as an AP lane, and then she got the whole AD on hit builds. And now you see her pop up every now and then. But the Sylas here, that's a risky pick if I've ever seen one, because I think his current win rate in every role is 41% in regular play.
It's definitely a competitive pick, but the reason you see it here is because it's Sylas into the Neeko. Neeko is going to go glacial, full damage ultimate, full AP, and Sylas, he wants to be hitting just as hard. He's got ways into the backline. If he's using that ultimate efficiently, it becomes that much easier to use, and it becomes that much easier to use than Neeko's. So it becomes a battle in the late game of who can flank harder with the Pot Blossom, Sylas or Neeko.
We see the Annie and the Gangplank ban coming through. The Tonside Guardians really respecting those two picks. And the Aatrox and Rek'Sai taken off the table. And this time, no Kaiser for Hiei. And he picks up the Vayne. So we're going to see a swapperoo possibly here if it actually gets locked in for both these two teams. Well, last time it was, of course, Zhongyu was playing the Vayne. And now Hiei might be picking it up here. And another skill matchup in the bot lane. No,
Loki, I want to see Lux here. Loki, I want to see like Lux here, so you can flex it, and you can get Neeko AD carry, and you put Vayne top lane against Tahm Kench.
Karma is also a pick that we haven't really discussed, but she's been reaching incredible amounts of win rate recently. In solo queue, I think it's up to 54 or 55%. Just a really strong pick.
Lane, which is the painful one, because that's the Shakara's special where. Basically, you just get a full heal on like a 10-second cooldown where you heal up to full HP even if you've got 0 AP, which is it's a fun interactive build.
Yeah, I mean, it belongs in top lane, doesn't it? Where you have fun things like Vladimir and Aatrox and all these lovely...
Mordekaiser versus Tom Kench, as it appears.
That's going to be it. So I know that I've heard multiple people tell me that you should never, ever try to 1v1 a Tom Kench. Because, is like if you're a melee champion and you try to duel a Tom Kench, it's not going to work. But those same people have also taught me the same thing about Mordekaiser. So when I hear from you, Sin, who you think is going to have the edge in that one? Because we can talk about the other ones for a little bit as well. The Vi pick we haven't really discussed either. And Mighty Boosh once again on the Bromir after a lackluster performance in game one. But first, let's hone in on the top lane because Mordekaiser against Tom Kench. That's a slugfest.
This is simple, guys. Tom Kench has the best level 1 to 3 in the game. The single best. You do not fight him during that phase. Once you start to get to like level 6, level 9, that sort of area, Mordekaiser can consistently win out. He'll have the magic penetration from his E, maybe even have like a Liandry's Torment. He'll be able to shred through the Tom. But in those early phases, you can't buy into those 1v1s consistently unless Sejuani's nearby.
So just avoid the frog early on and then start swinging.
You've got some
your
decent wave flare. So you can deal with it. Like you get to the point where once you've leveled up your Q a couple times, you can pretty much EQ and clear the backline of minions, then a couple auto attacks each on the melee minions, and it's just it means he's that much safer in lane. They've designed another champion that's oppressive when ahead, it's safe in lane, and pretty much becomes unbeatable if he ever gets any kind of lead. Like you can see because of the W, where he gets a shield equal to, I think it's up to 50% of the damage he's taken, and then he heals for half of that as well, so he can basically become a tank without building any tank items. So Mordekaiser is terrifying, and it's a case of whether we're going to see the Conqueror Mordekaiser where he's buying into fights, like going 1v3, or if this is like Phase Rush Mordekaiser, where he's going to be sitting in the side lane the entire time.
And of course, also the Realm of Death, one of the abilities that Riot really tries to, kind of change things up every time that they release a new champion. And also Reebok's kind of fall under that because Yuumi, of course, the whole appeal of hers that she's untargetable is also a big part of the frustration. Whereas with Mordekaiser, I remember when, a couple of weeks ago when that got released and people were like, wait, what is this? Like, can you actually can just force people to 1v1 you? And I got to say, I've really grown to like it because it's not the I win, I 1v1 your AD carry and a win button that a lot of people might have been expecting initially. I do feel like it's going to be rough for us spectators though, because I think that we're not actually going to go into the spirit world, because if we do, then that'd be quite something. Yeah.
I'm
wondering.
This is one of the first opportunities that I think anybody will have to spectate a Mordekaiser. So we're going to be able to see how he utilizes that, and if it does show the spirit like it does in game, like the two little wisps hovering around on screen,
two orbs, just kind of doing things,
or whether we actually get to see like a grayed out other plane where you can see both of the other champions perhaps grayed out, and I think that would be a better way to have the spectator work.
Well, it's really cool visually, like the actual 1v1, and of course the amount of stats that get siphoned away from your opponent does make it a little bit easier.
One of the things that's really interesting about the Mordekaiser Ultimate, though, is it's actually an ultimate they've had designed for 4 years now. They designed this ultimate 4 years ago for the Fiora rework. Initially, this was the plan where it was a skill shot where she'd throw her glove at somebody, and it would be like throwing the gauntlet, and whoever it hit, it would transport them to another realm where she had a 1v1 with them, and if she beat them, she got bonus stats. So they literally just copied and pasted that onto Mordekaiser. And I think it really works with him, and it really suits him that much better. So it shows that when they think of these spells, they have them logged up in the back, waiting for an opportunity to use them. This one they've pulled out to great use, you have to say.
Yeah, because it does really fit with like kind of the theme of Mordekaiser, because we're talking about last Mordekaiser, not the one before that. That's way too long ago. But with the dragon, where you can use the ultimate and the ghost of the dragon follows you, it was cool thematically, but that champion was basically never really relevant. Like, I think there was some points where
it was 96% pick ban at Worlds.
Yeah.
Because it was just released, and everybody realized it was insane in the bot lane, because for some reason, instead of splitting experience with his bot lane, they decided, let's give him 100% XP if he's in a duo lane.
And as it turned out, that was not the greatest of calls.
No, not the greatest calls at all.
So talking about your Worlds meta, what was your your favorite one? I remember the one where Corky was like a week before was just buffed and became basically mandatory. I remember the assassin one. I think it was season 3 or 4.
Season 3 was the assassin meta, yeah. The Z 100% pick ban.
Yeah, those were the days.
Like we've had the odd meta worlds, which is obviously one of them. But you can look at some of the other metas. Like I think season 4 is one of my favorites because of the top lane Alistair with Triforce Static Shiv, which was 100% pick ban, literally ridiculous champion. Because the way it worked is you got bonus AD whenever you pressed R as Alistair. You already had the bonus AD and crit chance from Triforce. You took a Static Shiv on top of it. You're critting the enemy ADC whilst having 70% damage reduction.
Yeah, that sure seems balanced, Sin. I wonder why it's not in the game. I wonder why it's not in the game anymore. As we see both junglers going for a red start here. It will be the Conqueror Mordekaiser in the top lane, so he's going to be looking for this fight. But hold up.
There it is. This is what I was talking about. You get the a ranged champion going into the Tahm Kench. You actually split the lanes to be able to make sure you can zone him off. Mordekaiser can't fight the Tahm Kench in the early game, whereas the Neeko, she's got the root, she's got the Q, she's got the wave clear, and the range to be able to force him off of the wave, to stop him from interacting with her, and you can give Mordekaiser the time to scale, and then eventually Mordekaiser can just go back into the top lane and win the 1v1.
Yeah, because as you said, you do outskill, so now there's a lot of pressure on Wilco to try and still make something work, but I think we got to see some attention from Ultimate Game Boy towards this top side, because if the Kench can get ahead, he can really, really do some nasty things, but if not, it's going to be really hard for him, and this Vi pick is Aftershock Vi. I've also seen Halo Blades Vi, which of course, in terms of proccing your Blast Shield and proccing your W passive is really nice, but does really fall off, whereas with Aftershock, you're always going to be able to engage just because of your innate tankiness. Now, I feel like that is kind of necessary.
Halo Blades is always about the first gank. Halo Blades is always about making sure that you get the kill on your first gank of the game. If that works, then you snowball efficiently from there. You snowball heavily from there. And so going to the Aftershock is more buying into the late game where you're going to be engaging harder and you want the resistances come that sort of 10-15 minute mark to be able to survive those fights.
And now we see Catherine Rain coming down to gank here on God Symmetry. Of course, one of the weaknesses of Mordekaiser is that he is fairly immobile. But once again, we see that 2v2 Ultimate Game Boy forced to flash. There comes the Permafrost, and that is going to be first blood coming through it for Wilks. Toxic Dev was able to make it out, but this 2v2 with Sejuani Wilks always at the right place at the right time.
There's a reason Sejuani has such a high presence in pro play right now, and it's not because she is a ridiculous champion, it's her synergy with melee laners. And melee mid laners, melee top laners are huge right now. Now Mordekaiser's here as well. This 2v2 is nigh unbeatable. It was the same as the Aatrox last game. It's the same as when you see Sejuani Aurelia. It's so hard to beat them unless you execute perfectly, because she gets the permafrost on you, she gets the stun, she gets all that bonus damage. You just can't keep up with it.
And we see Wilco consistently trying to maybe go for a Devour, but he's just not able to find them. And there's Neeko pick really working out the flex coming through as well. And thus far has been a great success here as we see sizable leads both in top and mid lane. Now, it's not quite as crazy as it was in the first game where we saw the bot lane consistently get punished. And of course, with the Karma, there's going to be a lot more poke and not nearly as much direct hard engage.
And like you said last game, the Prom survives a lot better against poke than he does the hard engage. So he's going to be able to have a bit of an easier laning phase this time around.
Which is nice, because last time it was exceptionally rough, as Desgrass does pull Toxic Death back, but he's able to walk out afterwards, trying to get maybe a Winter's Bite proc, but not going to go for it. And both Plasma and the Stun from Braum, if you can proc either of those, you can feel really good about your trades, but it does require you to go in. And as you said, the Vayne, of course, as the Kaiser, kind of short range, meaning that if you can get an early advantage here, it's going to work out really well for you as he takes a couple of shots. See the switch up here.
So you can contort your vision a little bit, and you can actually see that Mordekaiser was able to build, if you squint, you can put them next to each other. Mordekaiser was able to build a 17 CS lead over the Silas just from that lane. It shows the oppression of Mordekaiser against these melee matchups that don't have a super strong early game. Now they switch him back into the Tahm Kench. He's got that level 5. He's got a decent amount of stats for himself. He can actually 1v1 the Tahm Kench pretty efficiently now.
And mind you, we see that the Tarnside Guardians just match the lane swap immediately, not giving Toxic Death the opportunity to lane against the Nico, not having God Symmetry face off against the Tahm Kench just yet. And the heal had to be used there by Zongyo in the bot lane because Mighty Boosh was in fear of dying. They kind of waver, should we go in on Hiei and Ikari, yes or no? And it leads to, even in the bot lane now, the one lane that was going quite well thus far, quite a sizable CS lead for the Tarnside Guardians, who the pace of the game is lower, but they still have a 1k gold lead at only 6 minutes in here.
If we rewind for a minute there, we can actually see a play that I really liked from Tyneside as Hilliard getting hard engaged on, but I think he's going to live this.
Well, could try to go,
no,
but there is the damage coming through, and you say a thing you try to live, never say that with a Tahm Kench, because that damage is absolutely insane if you can find the Devour. Goes in, the Hilliard
into the tongue.
also used the flash there, mind you. Do feel like Wilco died a little bit more than Nikachu, but there is Ultimate Game Boy, does not have the flash.
Oh no!
It doesn't even matter, does it? No, it does not. That looks really awkward, as you guys can't see this, but Sin is... He's looking a little bit exasperated as Hiei does find the final does get proc there, and Zongyo, this time the Nottingham Arrows all of a sudden, in the span of 30 seconds, find a kill in mid lane, find a kill in bot lane, and it's looking a lot better for them.
This is exactly what they needed last game, just a couple of plays to go their way in those early stages. Now the Tahm Kench, which falls off really hard come the point where you lose the 1v1 against the Mordekaiser, is... had a couple of kills in his pocket, has this extra gold in his pocket to be able to fight against the Mordekaiser. You're stalling out at the point in which the game, this time in which the game that you are relevant before you hit the 5v5. So Nottingham Arrows, they have more time to exploit these advantageous lady matchups.
Yeah, and the Tarnside Guardians, last time we saw even with a really big lead as the Death Grass hits, God Chimtree goes in, finds the Obliterate, Toxic Death getting taken really low.
Yeah, it's the great out.
Do that from there we go. Can't get out there, already banished, and with another Obliterate, that is going to be the end. Now God Symmetry has the shield available, Ultimate Game Boy. That's not going to work, unfortunately, for you, as God Symmetry finds the 1v1.
And we learned how the Mordekaiser passive looks in, the Mordekaiser ult looks in Spectator. It shows the grayed out plane, like we were saying, but it looks really nice. You can just see the terror in Toxic Death's eyes. He's just like, yeah, I guess I'm probably dead.
Yeah, I want to leave, but yeah, it's not happening, is it? No, and gets taken down there. And this, of course, what the Mordekaiser itself said. Now, Toxic Death can kind of do this back, because he can, of course, he can hijack the ultimate. Now, is that a good idea? I don't know. What would happen, Sin?
If you give him the old Rorschach, it's I'm not in here with you, you're stuck in here with me.
Yes, Sin, as we see the dragon getting taken there. But let me ask you, what happens if God Symmetry goes to the Realm of Death and then Toxic Death steals that ultimate back and banishes him?
He actually should have used it there, because what it would have meant is he actually gets a different circle in which he gets to walk in, and he could have walked all the way under his tower. Because it would
does it work that way?
Yes, so it creates a new circle around the target that you do it, and you can walk outside of the initial circle into the new circle.
Okay, he still does have the Realm of Death available, mind you. Has that hijacked currently, so maybe we're going to see that happen a little bit later on. And the Tahm Kench pick has been working out a little bit, but I gotta say, I'm kind of scared as we get further and further into the game. The pick does require so much setup, because the thing with Tahm Kench is that if he can fight you, he's doing incredibly well, but against the Vayne, Karma, Nico, I have a really hard time of seeing him actually get on top of his targets, as opposed to just kind of try to waddle there, then get condemned away, then keep waddling, and then you get rooted by Nico, and you're like, wow, yeah.
We're nearing Liandry's, though, on the Mordekaiser as a comparison, because he's going to be able to stand directly on top of the enemy backline, shred them all to pieces, and have the Conqueror to consistently heal him. So the Tahm Kench needs to find that level of impact soon. He needs to find a way to match the Mordekaiser, otherwise he is going to fall off so hard, like we're saying. It's getting somebody and ulting them into the enemy backline, like the Sylas with a Pot Blossom, perhaps you can try and utilize. Because if Sylas steals the Nico ult and Tahm Kench is able to deliver him, that sounds like it could really just change a fight massively, turn it on its head, and perhaps get a long-range engage onto an objective like Baron.
Agreed. There's also, of course, the certain engage of someone like Ultimate Game Boy. If he can use the Assault and Battery to just dive on top of someone like the Karma, as we see the dive getting set up, the Toxic Death is able to dodge Death's Grasp. And Wilco also making his way up top. But Wilkes decides to disengage there, and Ultimate Game Boy. Last game he fell rather far behind, but Wilkes not nearly as oppressive as he was the last time. As this time, looking at a completely different game, we're at 11 minutes. A slight gold lead for the Guardians. They've been able to claw their way back into that lead after losing it early on. But Nottingham Arrows looking a lot better.
Yeah, and especially this bot lane. I have to highlight Mighty Boosh, after having such a rough game 1, has turned it around in game 2. It seems the rousing speech really got to him.
You did well, Sin. Good job. I heard, I was like, well,
I'm proud of him.
This would be good. And they really made it work thus far. Zungo already up 1 kill, even in CS, meaning that he has got quite a lead down. We saw that last time. He was kind of a win condition. Now, needs to be careful about this engagement. There comes the Glacial Prison, does hit, and Zungu gets taken down almost immediately as Mighty Boosh tries to run for the hills. Won't find it, though, as Hiei just keeps on chasing, finds the Condemn, and that's a double kill for the Vayne as Toxic Death gets obliterated. As God Chimistry finds yet another kill in the 1v1 here. And this is like looking like the Tyneside Guardians we saw in game number 1. As it's once again it's Wilkes who makes a big difference here.
And Wilkes finding these plays with the Sejuani. We talked about the ease of execution. Once you hit 6, just walk into a lane, press R, you get a kill. And once again, he's a level up on Ultimate Game Boy, so he's able to make these plays that much quicker. But now we've got a 2v1.
And Symmetry has no ultimate available. Yet another kill as Ultimate Game Boy is forced to flash away there. The teleport comes through from Toxic Death. And now finally, it looks like they might have the matchups that they were looking for all along. And immediately, Hillier takes a lot of damage, use the Pop Blossom to try and get a return ultimate. Is forced to flash out immediately. And Nottingham Arrows, they're down a little bit, but not quite there yet.
Yeah,
they're not giving up.
And not letting this one go. And so we see now it's the Tahm Kench has the ability to beat Mordekaiser if you give him the 2v1. And instead of actually being the Liandry's, it's the Raleigh from Gage Symmetry. So I'm looking forward to seeing him just run down the enemy Kai'Sa, just walk slowly towards her.
Mighty Boosh takes a lot of damage, use the Unbreakable to mitigate a little bit as Sungyu goes forward on his own. That's very ambitious. And that is the first really big mistake we've seen them make in this 2v2 as Hiei picks up basically a free kill there. A little bit of miscommunication seemed like from the Arrows. And Mighty Boosh does find the recall there. Was a little bit scared for him. As the Ocean Drake is about to spawn, the second Ocean Drake getting picked up by the Guardians here now at almost 14 minutes into the game. Once again, firmly back in the driver's seat.
This is the worry, though, after such a strong early start from the bot lane of the Arrows. It's all starting to fall apart, and it's off of a nice gank from Wilkes to get a double kill onto Hiei. And then getting that kill in the 2v2, suddenly the matchup turns. Suddenly the Vayne is looking like a much bigger threat, and we know that the Kai'Sa has to scale into this Muramana. The Vayne, she needs to hit that second item, and then she can be still a huge threat then, without having to rely on the later game scaling.
Agreed, and I want to see something proactive from the Arrows because they've been most successful when they can find these plays, when they can dictate the pace, but with Gorchimmetry making his way down the bot lane, it's not looking good. There we go, Songya already taken down. The Assault Battery comes through on here, but damage is not enough from Ultimate Game Boy as he almost gets banished. A lot of damage being tanked up by Gorchimmetry, finds another kill, still tanking the turret, will be able to get out with his life. Mighty Boosh is still there. But that's not looking good as the chase comes through. There is the Arctic Assault and yet another kill for Hiei. And it looked like they tried to turn it around there in the bot side, but instead everything goes wrong for the Nottingham Arrows.
I mean, that's one way to kill Secure as Gage Symmetry banishes the Vi so you can finish him off, finish her off himself. And that's going to be 3-1 and 2 building towards Liandry. He's going to be terrifying come this late game. We're looking at the Vayne, 4-1 and 2 now as well, having picked up that first tower for herself. If they get a good lane swap off here and are able to blow down that top lane tower pretty quickly, then suddenly Tyneside were in a similar situation to last game. They've blown the map wide open. They have all this pick potential. They have an amazing 5v5 potential. If they can get the vision control to match the pressure that they've been exuding, then that's where it just becomes impossible for the Arrows to play, and we start seeing those lose-lose situations that they became so unfamiliar with. after game one.
They crop up once again as 15 minutes here now. Tyneside Guardians, they were up in the early game, then fell behind after a great play from the Arrows, but the consistency just wasn't there as Wilco tries to go for the Tongue Lash, is not found. Already taking a lot of damage. Can he find a Devour? It does come through, and that's going to be the end of Hiei, I think. Although Ikari tries to keep his carry alive for as long as he can. There is the Winter's Bite.
Oh, the shield!
Blows is not enough. The shield comes through Karma. And that's a double kill coming through from Ikari. Arrives just in the nick of time. And this is once again one of these plays, the Nottingham Arrows. If they commit to this, they need to go well, but the Guardians are ready at every turn.
And the E-Shield from Ikari living up to its name, Inspire, as it saves Hiei's life. And it gets him the kill off the back of it, 12-4. And after we looked at such a rough early game start, where they were starting to fall down in bot lane, top lane got caught out of position. We've seen multiple members get caught out suddenly. It's ballooned in terms of gold lead. We're at 6,000. These outer towers are really crumbling.
Yeah, having a hard time seeing the Nottingham Arrows reclaim this one, especially with the composition that they have, because they want to go in, they want to... A Nico and a Mordekaiser, that's going to be really scary. Now, this is a little bit too much for you to chew off, Gorge Symmetry, because you're strong, but you're not 1v5 strong, as he gets taken down in the side lane. Will mean that I think the top lane turret is going to get pushed down. Rift Herald also getting picked up there by the Guardians, will get summoned in the top lane there, so... It's a small victory, Sin, like we saw last game, but just like last game, the Guardians are the one who actually pick up all the objectives.
Yeah, it's the problem for Nottingham. They make what looks like the right play. They pick off the Mordekaiser, who's massively out of position, but they lose a tower, they lose the Richter, and they lose so much damage mid as well.
Toxic that goes in, tries to make a play, but yeah, gets blown up. Not a lot that he can do as Hiei with the Nico, maybe looking for a route. They rotate on top to the Shelly, who's still alive, happily bashing away in the top turret. As another objective will fall, Tyneside Guardians are once again snowballing this game out of control. They did it last time from the beginning. Now it took them a little bit longer, but final charge will come through there in the end as well. So a lot of value from that Rift Herald.
But they use the timing for that last charge on the Rift Herald. They don't overforce to try and get damage onto the Inhibitor Tower. They use the time in which they know Nottingham Arrows have to respond to get a reset, to push through the enemy jungle, remove the camps, remove the resources, and get control of mid again. They won't let themselves get out-tempoed.
Ascari takes a Tongue Lash, but now we're starting to kind of reach the point where someone like Wilco isn't able to really going to do a lot on his own, unless he can find a 1v1 here with someone. As the Tyneside Guardians, they're going to go for the reset here just in time to fight that next dragon. Not sure which one is going to get spawned. We already had 2 Oceans thus far. But the Nottingham Arrows, they don't want to give up that objective just freely, and they're taking control of the vision.
Yeah, and they don't want to give up another dragon. They don't want to give up the third one. And having all this vision on bot side as well makes it that much harder for Mordekaiser to split push. So it's working out for them. And Nottingham Arrows, they're not going to let this one slip away. They're going to try and keep fighting back. And they've got this Tahm Kench, who has a lot of strength, who can 1v1 a Vayne if you put him on top of her, but it's just becoming more and more risky to put him in that situation where he can 1v1 her. He's more likely to be out of position. He's more likely to get caught out by a Sejuani turning a fight.
And I like the call here from the Nottingham Arrows, even though they tried and contest the vision earlier on, just give up that Ocean Drake. We had a lovely discussion earlier saying about, you know,
yeah, you don't
losing the game over an Ocean Drake.
I think the best way, the best phrase I can say is Ocean Dragon is not the hill to die on. There's plenty of other objectives in which you can bet your entire game on. Ocean Dragon's not the one of them. Even a Mountain or an Infernal might be more apt, but yeah, just rightly backing away, just getting some vision pressure to make sure that it slows them down and turning that dragon into a push and denying the mid lane tower for a bit longer. That's all they can do. Just try and buy on the scaling again because they've fallen so far down.
Oh, Wilco gets grabbed there by the Death's Grasp, and even with someone as tanky as a Tom Kanch, it's not nearly enough when 4 people are there. He shreds through him, picks up yet another kill. They get some Winter's by proxy on Ikari, but that's not nearly enough. There comes the root from the Pop Blossom. He is godlike as he finds yet another kill, and the Nottingham arrows are scattered. This is fairly deep though, because mind you, that mid lane turret has not been taken down yet, but Zongyu forced to just flash the root from Nico there, doesn't want to take the risk of getting CC'd, and the Tyneside Guardians once again take full control of the game here.
And now it looks like it, as we can see the inhibitor being sieged up, 10,000 gold lead. We can start thinking about this. Who would be your MVP of this game? It's really... It's interesting to look at, because I've loved what Wilkes has been doing all series long. Wilkes has been such an important key member of this team, giving them the strength on the map, giving them these resources, turning up in bot lane to turn that entire match up. But all the same, he's the guy capitalizing on these leads, shredding through the enemy in fights. And look at this scoreline again, 7-1 and 4. After last game, he finished around 8-0-5. He's performed to a really high level today.
It really has. And the Tyneside Guardians, they haven't won this game yet, as we see that they now go for the reset, a full 10k gold up, able to only not take down that mid lane out. Everything else has already crumbled by the wayside, as the Baron is now up in the running. Try and maybe pick that up if you are the Guardians here. And with a Vayne, they're going to shred through it in a matter of seconds as well. And God Symmetry with the Leandra is also doing a lot of damage. It's not looking good for the arrows. They do have a lot of tools available to them, though. This tanky Tom Kanch, if he doesn't get focused by 5 people, the hard engage from the Vi, and of course the hijack, which can make so much work. But with this gold deficit, it needs to be an absolute perfect fight here, as the mid lane outer also falls, and the Tyneside Guardians take complete control of the top side, setting up for a possible Baron.
Put it this way, Mao, this game is seeming like a kind of a foregone conclusion when you can see that it's a 3-item Vayne against a 1.5 item Kai'Sa. This isn't the same Kai'Sa we saw last game. This isn't the press Q on the enemy backline, they explode Kai'Sa. This is really a budget build that's been put in a budget situation, and there's no way back unless she can find a really good team fight to pick up 3 or 4 kills and suddenly balloon her, or suddenly catch up in the gold deficit by picking up these shutdowns.
And Mighty Boo, she throws the Winter Spire, but that's not enough. No contest comes through Ultimate Game Boy. This engages, the Pop Blossom gets used just to make sure, and he hasn't had enough. He goes in on his own, finds the Toxic Death, goes for the come down on Mighty Boosh. Blaze of Prisons, flashed over by Hiei, and that is a double kill already as he chases after Ultimate Game Boy. Doesn't have to use the flash, but it might have been a better idea to use it after all, because a triple kill gets picked up for Hiei, and I think he heard you talk about who the MVP should be, Sin, because let's be honest. He's wants it badly. Finds another kill. This is not an official penta anymore, but I'm willing to give him the unofficial penta if he can find the kill on Zongro. Needs to try and somehow keep this game alive, but I don't think that he believes in it anymore. 1 against 5. An absolute dominating performance here from the Tyneside Guardians. They're a little bit slower to get going, but once they're there, it looks incredible. As what might be the final team fight here starts, Pop Blossom comes through. Mighty Boosh already taken down the rest of the team, moving on towards these turrets. Hillier takes a lot of damage. Toxic Death might try and get a cheeky kill there, but look at that shield coming through from Ikari. There is the Pop Blossom down used by Toxic Death, and they hang in for a lot longer than I expected, but in the end, God Symmetry and Hiei don't even get touched, and it's a 2-0 for the Tyneside Guardians.
And at the end of the day, Hiei finishes with around a KDA of 30, if that gives you any kind of idea of how well this man played, as Tyneside really systematic destruction of Nottingham Arrows. Well, like we kept saying, forcing them into lose-lose situations, and unfortunately, they couldn't come out with any kind of advantage off of the back of them. They ended up just hard engaging on one side, losing everything on the other.
So Nottingham Arrows, if you, because we talk so much about the Guardians and how they were able to just consistently find the place. I also really like that in this game, it went wrong. You know, they made a couple of misplays that didn't really work out their way. They made a couple of mistakes in the first game as well, but they didn't really let that hurt their spirit or let that hurt their decision making much further. But let's talk about the Nottingham Arrows, because I got to say, even with how the game ended, the early game between game 1 and game 2 was night and day for me. And I was really impressed with how much they improved just over the span of that one game. Now, it wasn't nearly enough to beat the Guardians, but that is something that you can look towards as a team to say, well, we still lost 2-0, but that second game already
up until I saw him flash over the Brommel, and I was just like, okay, it's going to Hiei. Yeah, Hiei showed up. Hiei performed really amicably on the Vayne and the Kai'Sa, both sides of the mirror matchup, and still was able to put up really good numbers. 30 KDA on the day. Absolutely insane play, and I'm excited to see where this man goes.
It's also, it always feels good when you're the carry that first stomps on one pick and then does the exact same thing on your opponent's pick, like in back-to-back games. That's I got to imagine that feels like a little bit of a small moral victory there as well. So our MVP was Hiei, but if you have another MVP, we're more than happy to hear. I got to agree with you there. I think that Wilkes, both in the first and the second game, was really key as well. Able to
definitely
snowball
deserves
the
a
rest
shout
of
out
the
at the
team.
very least.
Definitely. I mean, God, chemistry, that Mordekaiser, man, got me proper scared.
Pretty scary.
It was
pretty scary. Yeah, his job was very sacrificial. He very much had to just sit in a side lane and bait out the resources so that enemy maybe barely escape. But that was the role that they had him play at multiple points, and that was what we talked about. Again, coming back to that lose-lose situation.
And on that note, Sin, we are going to take a short break, and then we're going to be back with the second best of 3 of tonight. After the Tyneside Guardians and Nottingham Arrows just took place, we're going to take a look at the Bristol Smugglers taking on the Bradford Rams after a 10-minute break. Don't go anywhere.
But let's get it in. let's get it then. Promising your body, girl, it look like whoa. Body up, up, down, body don't need no toe. We gotta do something so you only God they know. Broke out, make the whole world know. Do something so you only God they know. Broke out, make the whole world know. Your body, girl, it look like whoa. Body up, up, down, body don't need no toe. When I do something so you only God they know. Broke out, make the whole world know. Do something so you only God they know. Broke out, make the body up, up, down, body. See your body, girl, it look like whoa. Body up and down, body don't need no toe. When I do something so you only God you know. Broke out.
Welcome back, everyone, to Belong Arena Clash League of Legends Championships. I'm Maurits Chronicler Mercer. With me is Sin Stuart McLeod. And we just saw the Tyneside Guardians take a 2-0 victory over the Nottingham Arrows. And now we're going to see, are we going to get another 2-0? Or is it going to be a 3-game series in the Bristol Smugglers as they take on the Bradford Rams?
Yeah, we've got a bit of a different matchup here. There's Bristol Smugglers do actually look like a fairly strong team coming in this time around. They've, if you go strictly by MMR, they're probably about the 5th best looking at the league right now. So I'm expecting good things from them.
As we see in the lineup, Pete, Tegan, Zazors, Acadian, AD, and Pygie, I want to say. I don't know if I'm missing any English pronunciation here. For the Rams, we have Dritnit, Drandleford, and Zavakiddo, Chop, Darken, and Sear Overdrive. Now, as you're saying, Sin, looking at just the MMR, just raw league stats, got to give an edge to the Smugglers, or to the Rams rather. So the Smugglers have their work cut out for them. But we saw last time as well that it was a relatively even matchup between, or at least on paper, between the two teams that we just saw. But the Tyneside Guardians, they really ran away with the game both times.
Yeah, I've still got hope for Bristol. They still look like a fairly strong lineup, so I think they can perform. It's just a case of, can they show up today against the Rams as the first match of the season? It's a big sort of test for everybody to kind of get that level and understand where everybody's sitting at right now.
So Kiddos, Zed already taken away. We see no more Mordekaiser. We got to enjoy him last game, and that's probably the last time in a long time, because whereas the Tommy Canch, I feel like it can be good in a 1v1 scenario, but it's not nearly as overbearing as a Mordekaiser. If you can get ahead, can just start shredding through people, uses Realm of Death aggressively, just incredibly strong. As Pyke and Nunu also get taken off the board.
So yeah, it's taking away a lot of target bans here and banning away from Acadian these kind of more facilitative junglers, you have to say, in terms of the Sejuani and the Nunu, these not really hard carry junglers, more junglers that want to set up skirmishes and be stronger in the 2v2s, 3v3s.
And we talked about him already tonight. He's not the most popular support at the moment anymore, but we will see Eddie get secured the Alistair here. Now, Alistair, of course, a support that, as we said before, used to be incredibly popular and basically just have an incredibly high priority. Still has a lot of tankiness, but I do feel like he's been having a rougher time. Now, the Sivir, it's a classic combination, but looking into a Karma lane, that might be a problem. And the Aatrox is another big power pick that the Rams pick up here.
Yeah, the The Karma and the Aatrox given over for the Alistair is the big question mark for me here. When you're willing to first pick the Alistair, you've got to have a lot of faith in it to be able to give up something as strong right now as Aatrox for it. Although I would like the Kennen in response. Kennen, range top laner, likes to just bully him out of lane, keep him at arm's length, and if you go for the phase rush, it means that Aatrox can never touch you.
And the AoE damage coming through is already quite impressive because just with a Sivir and Cannon, slicing Maelstrom combined with all the boomerang blades means that in these mid to late game team fights, when Sivir is able to hit an item, Cannon has the Proto Belt, and Zhonya's available, it's a lot of pressure, but we see here that Karma might very well not go to the support role as the Yuumi gets picked up here, supposedly for Darken.
Yuumi literally unplayable in every other role, so it means that Karma has to be either mid or top lane. And
no. We can put her in the jungle and then we get a solo laner and bot lane soon.
No. We go the funnel strat. We put Master Yi mid with Smite and Yuumi jungle.
Yeah.
So Yuumi ends up just giving him all the CS.
Yeah. Pull it out, Rams. Surprise us. Go for it. As the Corki, I haven't really talked about, but of course, strong scaling mid lane, a huge mixed damage threat. As the more jungle bans here coming through, as there was no jungler picked up for the Smugglers as of yet, with the Hakarim and the Rek'Sai taken out. So some of that early snowball potential and aggression taken at the board. And the Caitlyn and Tristana taken away from Chop.
Okay, Ezreal Yuumi is the most dodge bot lane there is right now. Like, they used to be more aggressive of a support. So picking Ezreal Yuumi is literally, we don't want to play bot lane this game. We will sit under our tower and try and poke you out. We don't need to go anywhere near you. We don't need to go anywhere near the wave. We just sit back and watch the lane go by.
So it's Aatrox jungle coming through with full Drandlefoot. Now, I think his jungle win rate has actually taken a huge hit ever since he's been in the... Because I know initially a lot of people were experimenting with it. Now, his clear is amazing, but it is, of course... his ganks are fairly telegraphed. He doesn't have the greatest of utilities, and if he can't snowball, do you feel like compared to top lane Aatrox, you're going to fall behind, but it's going to be Cannon against Karma in the top lane. Acadian picks up the Vi that we've already seen today versus, like we said, the Aatrox, and then Falcos versus Orianna is also an interesting matchup to me. Now, let's not talk about bot lane, because like you say, I don't think we're going to see anything happen there.
Well, to be honest, Mal, this is pretty much 3 lanes that want to dodge and a power farming jungler. So they are buying into team fights where the Aatrox has already fed himself on these jungle camps. He's already invaded via a couple times, got a couple extra camps for himself, has a gold lead, and then can transition that into fights. So they want to just have everybody go even and Aatrox show up with a lead.
Yeah, and I got to say, though, I do feel like Karma... even though she's really strong in top lane, she is exceptionally good against more of these melee champions that have a hard time sticking to her with the speed up, with the root. Now, Cannon himself is kind of a ranged lane bully, so I'm really interested to see how that lane is going to pan out.
What I'd expect is her to actually go for Athenes and then play for a more like AP-heavy supportive build, rather than the tankier setup of going like the Iceborne Gauntlet. Like, as you say, she's normally adept at bullying melee matchups, but against a ranged matchup, you might as well go for the more wave-clearing setup to then aid the jungler in 2v2s, to aid later on when the Ezreal is going to be trying to really pop off.
So we do see a lot of hard engage here. We have the Alistair, we have the Vi, and I mean, a cannon flank can also really force the issue whenever it is necessary. So even though they have a lot of slippery targets with the Karma, with the Yuumi and Ezreal, like you can find, still the question for me is, as we get into the game here, is that going to be enough? Because Assault and Battery, you can be as slippery as you want, but if you get caught in an awkward position, you're not anywhere near a turret, and that comes through, you're in for a bad time.
The thing is, if you're trying to do that on an Ezreal who then just E-flashes away, it's the Vi who's in for a bad time when suddenly she realizes she's ulted into 5 people and is a solid 1,000 units away from any of her team.
Well, we're gonna assume that Acadian's not just gonna dive in without knowing that, right? Like, we can see that happen, but I hope we won't, as we see Grasp Karma coming through here, so really going for a lot of sustain. And this is really interesting to me. It is actually Aftershock for the Aatrox in the jungle as opposed to a Conqueror, which is, of course, traditionally what you'd run on him.
Yeah, Aftershock is much more for that 2v2 prowess, so he can actually get into skirmishes and he doesn't have to rely on just getting into the late game. He can try and fight Vi in her own jungle.
And there we go, the engagement level 2 already hit as Addy goes in big. And that's the flash already used. No jump available there for Chop. No heal has to be used, and the sustain from Yuumi is going to help him out a little bit, but a great start coming through from the bot lane from the Smugglers here. As in the mid lane, a lot of damage being traded back and forth, and a lot of action happening here right from the get-go, Sin.
Yeah, a lot of action already, a lot of hard trading, but the matchups really to look at, as we were kind of alluding to before, are the top lane to see how that one actually goes out. If Karma can build any kind of advantage to move Aatrox into the enemy jungle more efficiently, or if the Orianna can actually pressure out the Vel'Koz, because this is a matchup that, yeah, it's pretty safe. All the same, you can actually find kill pressure in this either way. If you land a solid ultimate as the Orianna, you can shred the Vel'Koz, and if Vel'Koz gets a full combo back, nobody can really live through that.
I think Vel'Koz is one of those picks that I really like, because while he can blow you up 100-0 if he gets fed, he always feels like he's always kind of under the radar. Like, he's never, to my knowledge at least, been like a extremely high priority pick, but you do see him like pop up so consistently. And of course in the UK we also have AKM, I think, who basically one tricks his down foot, takes a lot of damage, gets the shield and the speed up, so we'll be able to get out. Interrupting my little monologue on Vel'Koz's.
Did you mean ADM?
Yeah, there you go, ADM. Thank you.
Yeah, ADM has a lot of prowess on the champion, but it's a champion that can be one-tricked very efficiently. He's a reason that you actually need a high level of mastery to play him to such a high level, is because there is a lot of nuance to his kit. There is a lot of nuance to just simply the geometry of it. I know there's always the meme that it's just dodge forward 5-head, but it's actually a fairly difficult champion to utilize efficiently.
I mean, it's also a champion with almost exclusive, or I think exclusively skill shots, right? So that's always going to influence it. And like you say, it's also skill shots that honestly are fairly slow and have a really specific way in which they interact. As we do see a lot of damage coming through here, but no real leads or deficits as of yet. So already looks like we're going to be having a different series compared to the first one. Thank you very much. As Drandalford is going for a gank, but he was spotted there. And no action as of yet. So really big difference from because I think the Tyneside game's first blood in both games fell within the first 3 minutes of the game. Yeah,
it was a very early first blood in both of those games. And this time around, it's a lot of a slower, a lot more methodical game that's kind of being played out the way that Bradford wanted it from the start. Because we said they've got the Kleptomancy on Ezreal, they've got the scaling of the Aatrox, they just want to survive, they just want to dodge losing any kind of major advantages, and then get into the teamfight phase where they can show.
And there we see that Antavikiddo used the Shockwave, forced the flash out from Tegan, and I gotta say, I feel like the Smugglers don't have as much of a late game composition as the Rams do, but it is a composition that doesn't have to get things done in the first 6 levels, because once you get the Slicing Maelstrom, once you get the Disintegration Ray, and once you get the Alistar ultimate and the Assault and Battery from Vi, that's when you can really start making these big plays. So I feel like we're now starting to reach the window where the Smugglers really should get things going, and they do so immediately by picking up the first dragon, yet another Ocean Drake, and I feel like we've seen so many of these today.
This is, it's been an Ocean kind of day, but
yeah.
All the same, I actually want to look back at what you were just saying there, the strength of scaling on both sides. Yeah, I would agree with you that Bradford, if you look down the lines, the individual members outscaled their opponents, besides maybe the Karma. And they all have like a very strong impact on the late game. But if you look at the 5v5 unit and how it synergizes, think about all the synergies that exist in Bristol's squad, where you've got the Alistar ultimate, Vel'Koz ultimate, you've got the Kennen diving in on top of it, you've got all this AoE teamfight damage, all this lockdown, that if they can execute it, if they can actually get the dream going, their 5v5 outscales the 5v5 of their opponent. It comes down to individual outplays, like Ezreal just landing half of someone's HP and poke to force them out of a fight to really turn it.
And Antavikiddo is going to go for a war there. A lot of question mark pinks going through. I do think that he got spotted there, so now Chop and Darken needs to disengage. They do have some time left, and Ezreal's quite speedy. Don't think that's going to be even a little issue for them, combined with Zoomies especially. And no real pressure found as of yet. So the only objective...
Doesn't look right with the skin.
Sorry?
Kamish doesn't look right with the skin.
You don't enjoy it? No?
It doesn't look right to me. Like, I was looking at it, like, the way she auto-attacked, I was like, is that Vayne? What? It doesn't seem right to me at all.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean.
Like, you know, in some... Yeah.
It's very non-Karma-esque.
Yeah, the skin warps them so much that you can't even tell what they are anymore. People said the same thing about, like, Pugmore. And I remember there was a whole meme where people were like, yeah, I see Pugmore in the game, but I don't know what champion that is. And I was just saying, yeah, it's the same when I see definitely not Blitzcrank. I have no idea what champion that is.
To be fair, though, I still don't know who definitely not Blitzcrank is.
Yeah, I mean, one thing's for sure, he's not Blitzcrank, so we can rule that one out.
Yeah, that's an easy one. That would be way too obvious. As the pace of the game is really quite slow. Try and force an engagement maybe here. Drandlefoot is in the vicinity. AD doesn't want to go for it, as Caesars also hits level 6, so both the Sivir and the Alistar Ultimate are available now, but it's such a slippery lane to play against that unless you can really, really find an overextension, I don't know how easy it's going to be, and I do want to see the Bristol Smugglers keep going for these objectives, because with how the tempo of the game is looking right now, the Bradford Rams, they're playing so defensive here, and it's not a team that is really easy to dive, in my opinion, either.
Yeah, it's just it's playing it slowly, but that's not really what Acadian wants to do, as he tries to get a gank off top lane, but does blow the flash of Dragon, but all the same, this is what they've got to try and do, accelerate the pace of the game, don't let them just rest on their laurels, blow the flashes, force the plays, force the TPs, get back control of the map so you can then deny them objectives.
Shockwave comes through, and this might very well be first blood taken. Tries to get a counter kill, but it is not nearly enough. But the same can be set for Super Duper. Goes in on Dryden and finds an immediate return kill. Nice gank there by Drandlefoot. Goes in aggressively, and 7 Kiddos goes to the flash Shockwave. And now Stasis and Addy, they're very far forward. Drandlefoot, the Aatrox, is coming in from the back. The slow from the Yuumi Q does not hit, but the collapse is imminent. Addy goes for the immediate disengage, knocks Drandlefoot back. He's going to get taken down incredibly low, but will stay alive for now. And they were actually able to evade that. Caesars, don't step forward there. Sees N7 Kiddo and decides the better of it. And in the end, this is still a relatively even trade scene.
This is still so back and forth. Only a 400 gold lead right now. But the gank was really needed to give bot lane some levity, to allow them to get the reset without being forced to lose a tower shard or multiple tower shards in the process. Because currently, this is the issue when you give up this much pressure bot lane. Are you just going to lose first tower? See, we need to see Aatrox make more of those plays. I'm glad we saw him make his first already to get first blood in catching out Thurgan in mid lane. It's just a case of now how he transitions that lead. What does he do with it? Does he try and fight Vi in her jungle? Does he try and get the bot lane ahead? He needs to find a way to stop them from just being out-tempoed on the map with plays like this.
And now we see Drandlefoot nowhere near. He's farming his Croton topside. And Acadian has a Sword and Battery available. There comes the engagement. Chop is going to get hit by the Sword and Battery. Teleport comes through from N7 Kiddo or Dryden. We don't know yet. Chop gets taken down, though, before anyone can help. And the rest of his team is on his way. N7 Kiddo is there, and it's both N7 Kiddo and Dryden. There comes the kill on top of Xaydos. And a little bit of a miscommunication there as they both go in. The life disintegration ray tries to find a kill as N7 Kiddo will get taken down. They're in the very end with Super Duper also using the teleport. No slicing Maelstrom used as of yet. Yuumi and Dryden are chasing. Super Duper goes in, finds the slicing Maelstrom. There is the stun, uses the stopwatch immediately. And that's one pickup. AD gives his life, but they pick up 2 more. Drandlefoot, does he really want to go for this? I can't imagine that he does. But with Chop on his way as well, they want to go
He's
for
hungry.
Greedy. There is the Vault Breaker on top of Drandlefoot, and he bit off more than he can chew. The ultimate from Azrael, no Arcane Barrage is enough to pick up a kill. And in the end, it's the Bristol Smugglers who find the first big lead of the game here at 12 minutes.
And Bradford Rams, they dug so deep to try and find something there. They dug so deep to try and find any play there, and they lost so many kills off the back of it. Going to the Vi and the Kennen as well, and I have to say that's going to be the play that breaks the back of Bradford Rams, at least for now, because they need to stall out the game so much more after that. It was going so well. The game was so even, and then it all goes astray.
And it's both a nice play from the Smugglers, who punish the overextension. There's no vision for Chop and Darkin. They still move in, even without knowing Revising, with Drandlefoot nowhere near. And then the double teleport play from Dryden and 7kilo is really cheeky, but it's not close enough, meaning that there's so much time available for the Smugglers. And like you say, we see that Dryden is going to go for this tankier build, going for the Spirit Visage first, but Kennen, who already has a Comblade, 2 kills and 3 assists, it's going to be such a menace in team fights. And now the Smugglers, we wanted them to force the issue in the early to mid game, and they've been given a lot of tools to do just that.
Yeah, it's, the scaling has been kind of put on hold for now as Bradford. They have to hold out just against the Tide right now. They can't even think about how many items they've got. They're just going to try and lose as little as possible.
Indeed, and there's Ocean Drake, the second one of today, yet another, is also on its way. And you can see Dryden, he's just not really taking any damage anymore, but Super Duper. Dryden's not the person he's looking to kill. He's looking at Chop, he's looking at Kiddo, he's looking at just seeing Drandlefoot as well, because the Aatrox, while the resets can give him a lot of survivability, even with Aftershock, he's not that tanky.
Oh, no.
And that's going to be it. Salt and Battery comes through felt. Chop, he wants to help a teammate, which is admirable, but that's not the best of ideas. Gets taken down as Darkin, the Yuumi somehow escapes, but there is first turret blood. There are 2 more kills for the Smugglers, and while the Rams were able to hold off the early pressure, the Smugglers, now that they've got the game rolling, really seem to be able to consistently punish the Rams.
Yeah, they were able to hold it off early, but when it came to mid, they just got baited into the situations where they were forced to fight. They were forced to overcommit to try and get a kill that they were greedy for, hungry for, and they end up being punished for it consistently every single time. Now they're 3,000 gold down, 2 Ocean Drakes, which doesn't mean all that much in terms of scaling, but right now, it's still really relevant, that resource generation, that mana and health regeneration.
Agreed. The second one picked up now, and the Smugglers, I love that they're not resting on their laurels, because this is something that we wanted to see from them, because like you say, if the Rams can just sit back, farm up, they're going to be incredibly menacing to deal with. Now, I think Chop has been level 8 for 2 minutes now, just not able to really get back into his lane, always getting dove by Cadian, who had kind of a slow start, but is now on his way towards their Triforce. And Aftershock fire with Triforce, even if you go full tank after that, it's gonna hurt so much if you get it this early in the game.
I mean, there's the build that I always like to do where I forego the Warriors enchant to just go Triforce Titanic Sterix. It's just a full stat check build. Have you outfarmed the opposing jungler? If yes, you win. But this is a hard snowball. Do as much damage as possible in a space of time as possible. Zacadian just
decimate his opponent if he can find that opportunity, and they want to try and get a little bit of a push going here on top side, maybe pick up that outer. As we see Super Duper, he almost has a teleport available. Need to be careful about forcing a fight now as Zacadian takes some chip damage, but with Super Duper on the other side of the map, they don't want to really do anything right now. Maybe go for a Rift Herald play, but with everyone there, it's not in the cards, as a Darkin helps from target to target Dryden. The problem is, though, he's not doing that much damage himself either with this build, going for the Spirit Visage first. His survivability is really good, but as you can see here, not too much damage is taken. Now Zacadian gets knocked back by the Infernal Chains and will just get demolished with the Arcane Barrage right from the get-go. Xayzus has to use the Unhunt to try and get away. Goes for the 1v1, but it's not a 1v1 when Yuumi is there. Goes for the flash and the heal and is able to get out. Now N7kiddo is going to get immediately tagged and destroyed by Super Duper. And with this Civ is still alive, it's actually really hard for the Smugglers to get punished here, as we see the Rift Herald getting started up. I think they have to give that up, but besides that, a nice retaliation from the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams finally find their own play, and it's off of the back of putting the Yuumi on top of the Karma.
What a combination coming through here, though. Addy finds 2, an immediate collapse coming through from Tegan, who finds a kill. And we were talking about the Valkyries, and then Addy delivers 2 people to them. No hesitation whatsoever. Immediately blows the ultimate. And that means that they can't even pick up the Rift Herald, which was really the big prize that they were able to catch, as Chop gets Charlie down once again. Still level 8, mind you.
They've got that 30 seconds to hold them off from being able to get onto the Rift Herald, and then that one is wasted as just as it seemed like Bradford had opened a window back into the game, Bristol slam it shut and trap the fingers of Bradford in the cookie jar.
And I still can't believe that Chop is like currently level 9. I mean, that's also kind of the thing with the Yumi, right? Because she's never, either she's roaming or she's directly on top of you. So the amount of experience that you're able to get really isn't that much. As Acadian, quite strong, but I don't think you want to take that 1v2. And a little bit of an oopsie there, has to use his flash, which takes away a little bit of his Vault Breaker consistency. And the Rams, they're hanging in there, but you can't really afford to make plays like that. Also, lovely Alistair play there by Addy, because he was really the one setting up for Tegan there.
The thing you were saying there about Sharp being down in experience, one of the biggest reasons for that is twice when he's died, it's been because there's a huge wave stacked up against his tower, and he dies being unable to pick it up. The 40 CS deficit, at least 20 of that he wasn't even in XP range for. So it means that he's down that extra level on Zazors, and it's so difficult really for Chop to get back into it now.
Agreed, and he's also going for a really tanky build, which is nice, but let's not forget that Tegan is also actually doing quite a lot of damage, and the same can be said for Super Duper. So these Ninja Tabis really aren't going to pay off as much as they would against, say, a full AD team, and they're going to delay his damage spike even further. And it's not looking good for the Rams here, because if it's something like a Civic can get ahead sizably, it's actually so incredibly hard to deal with. AD takes a little bit of damage, but the next Dragon here, you got to imagine, is going to go to the Smugglers. And if the Rams are really going to contest, they need to pull out a Miracle Team Fight, but into a Cannon and a Vi, that's not easy.
I don't get why he was just standing on a pink ward there.
Yeah, that was a little bit awkward, as Addy just goes in, doesn't care that the rest of his team isn't there, as the ultimate from Yumi gets used. Dryden is looking for an opportunity as well. Chop moving forward. A lot of damage comes through, but the third Ocean Dragon, second time in a row that we see 3 Ocean Drakes here, Sin, goes to the Smugglers, because while all of that was happening, Addy goes in very deep. That's all nice and dandy, but in the meantime, the objective just gets picked up easily, because something that Vi does very well, of course, is shred through those objectives with the passive on a W.
It's kind of sad for them, because if this was Triple Mountain, the game would be instantly over. Because it's Triple Ocean, it's a lot harder to snowball the game off of the back of it, and so they have to rely on being able to get the Baron cleanly, just deny them from the pit. You see the Addy and Super Duper just sitting around the back trying to stop anybody from getting access.
Yeah, and Ansavikido, you need to face check that. You don't want to, but you don't really have a Drandlefoot, though. He's in the pit. Dark Arcane Barrage comes through. Is it enough damage? Acadian goes down, and he gets the steal as Drandlefoot makes the hero play. And somehow they make it work, but if they immediately have to give up the Baron buff, it's not going to be as valuable as it might have otherwise been. AD goes in very deep, but will get blown up here. And we might have just seen the turnaround come through for all the Bradford Rams.
You can see the panic as they realize, yes, they got rid of N7 Kiddo, but Drandlefoot comes flying over the Baron buff wall, is ready to come in and with all guns blazing, and the Ezreal ultimate coming over the top means they can't hold out of damage range. For the plan initially was just back off, they can't DPS it down, he can't get it into the smite range without overcommitting, we can just kill him. But the Ezreal ult comes over the top as well. The damage from that knocks it into smite range. Suddenly everybody's in panic. Great play from Bradford, great coordination, and it means that they're able to get the Baron.
There's also one of the downsides of the full damage Vi, which that Acadian was solo just from tanking the Baron, meaning that it's a lot hard to try and find the health, because you don't really have any sustain besides the Alistair healing you up there as well. To make sure that you can just tank that Baron, like you said, because if you can do that, then you just keep it at 3,000 health for a little bit longer, wait for anyone from your team ready to take down Drandlefoot, because remind you, this is new Aatrox who doesn't get a automatic reset, or revive rather, once he finds his ultimate. And this means that pushing into a big set of Baron minions is actually a lot harder.
Yeah, when you can get caught out of position that much easier, it's a lot more difficult to really play against that kind of lack of vision. So it means that Drandlefoot, he's going to be happy, but he's still sitting 1-4. He wasn't really allowed to free farm like he wanted. He got that first blood, but was quickly forced out of the game.
Definitely, Sin. So, with that Baron steal, the pace of the game has been slowed down. But do you think it's enough for the Bradford Rams? Because they're still at a sizable deficit. The Smugglers, even with that Baron getting stolen, seem to be firmly in control. Do you expect this Baron to buy them enough time to kind of get back into this game? Or do they need more on top of it to really make that work?
Well, the key viewpoint here is, can they survive until third item Ezreal? If that's the case, then yes, they are online. But if they can't get to that point without being contested, without starting to lose on the map again, then they're really going to struggle, because the Ezreal needs to be able to land the poke. The Ezreal Yuumi needs to be able to consistently land the poke to force people out of fights, to force them to deny the 5v5.
Indeed. As we see the Karma build really going for nothing but damage, as what looks to be a Thorn Mail is about to be
that's
picked
a
up
Thorn
by
Mail,
Trident. Yeah, just no Iceborne Gauntlet ID now, just completely foregoing damage. But Chop caught in a bad place here as Xaxus goes in, doesn't have enough damage to blow him up outright, and with the sustain from Yuumi, it's probably going to be fine. And yet again, the Smugglers don't find the decisive pick that they were looking for. They might find another dragon here, though, and hopefully for them, or rather, it's impossible for it to be yet another Ocean Dragon. As maybe we're going to see a Cloud Dragon here soon, so just kind of get some switch up here, because that's everyone's favorite one.
The Clown Dragon, that's the best one.
Is it though?
It's I'm trying to just be positive. I'm trying, man.
I know, Sid.
Don't take this away from me.
I mean, honestly, if you're running Ezreal Yuumi, I'd be happy with a Cloud Dragon. As Chop gets taken real low.
If you're running this,
There's
you're
the
happy as
engagement.
well.
Flash Vault Breaker comes through. Darken can't find anyone. Assault and Battery is enough to take down Chop, and the bot lane from the Rams get caught at just the worst of times, with the dragon just about to spawn and the entirety of the Smugglers ready to chew through these turrets.
You're seeing the speed at which they ran them down there. Maybe the Cloud Dragon isn't so bad.
Yeah, you'll take it anyway in this situation, because if you can run at your opponents faster, you're gonna take that no matter what. A Super Duper goes for the push here, and I'll actually expect them
it's
to
a
do a
mountain.
little bit more of that, but a Mountain Dragon, you were talking about that earlier, Sin, combined with the Vi passive and Xaxus now on 2 items, that is going to be incredibly easy for them. And what I'm wondering is, are we going to see them pick up the next Baron as well? Because let's not forget the Rams are still in this game. I feel like just as the back of that amazing Baron steal by Drandalford, which has really extended this game, but the Smugglers still look to be firmly in control.
See, that would have been the nail in the coffin, but no, they hold on a bit longer, as you say, and so the 5k, nearing 6k gold deficit isn't quite enough to shut them out.
It really isn't. So, Sin, this game has gone on for quite a while. The pace initially was fairly low. It's now been a lot more exciting. What's your favorite type of League of Legends game? Like, do you like the high-paced Clown Fiesta games where everyone just tumbles over each other to murder each other? Or do you like the slow, glacial, slowly choke each other out of resources, like 45-minute CLG EU type of games? I'm not giving you any, it's one or the other. There's no middle ground. You can also go for Korean macro style. I'll take that as a separate one. It's Trident.
Yeah, the Korean macro style is the one for me, but this is the full-on team fight.
Yeah, and that is already over before it has good and well begun. And once again, it's Tegan who's able to just completely demolish people who should be so tanky, because Dryden especially has built nothing but tank stats, but him, Drandalford, and Darken are just gone. No Miracle Steel is available this time, and it's going to be difficult for the Bradford Rams to try and hold off once the push comes through with this Baron minions. Even without those, Super Duper is just pushing turrets on his own, and now he's a Baron buff to boot.
Yeah, this has become so much easier for him to push now, and with that Hextech Gunblade, it's easier for him to escape those engages. What's find the V1 potential? It's just all around. Kennan's in a real good situation to just be a bully.
Yeah, we talk about this the team fighting. there. Cadian just goes in. He doesn't care. Charges in. The aftershock keeps him alive for a long time. But that was a little bit overzealous there. Body as Dranderford has gotten the revive now. Goes in with the flash on top of Xasus. Is able to find yet another blast. But Xasus is still alive. The revive comes through. But there's Super Duper into the backline. Finds one. In 7 Kiddo goes for the shockwave. But it is not enough as Super Duper keeps him alive. Tegan though, he's still there. The backline has just gotten absolutely demolished. And Tegan and Super Duper carry the rest of the team to victory. Chop finds the kill on 80, but it's just him and Darken alive right now. This inhibitor surely to fall as the Smugglers find yet another successful team fight, but it was looking dire there.
How slow the game was. We were just talking about how slow it was just a couple minutes ago, and suddenly it's exploded off of the back of that Baron play. Now, the gold lead is growing even further. We're nearing 10k. Super Duper and Tegan is still alive. Tegan is just going to help him push this one in. They're going to reset off the back of it. Still got 2 Baron buffs to boot as well. Let's see what more they can do with it with 2 inhibitors exposed.
And you can run Ayla Blades Fire or Aftershock Fire, but I think diving into a team like that, that's a trap that any engaged player has. Like everyone has had that moment, right, where you're like, oh guys, okay, they're a little bit too far forward. Let's go, and then you wait.
It's just for me, it's the moment that Vi, when Vi uses ult, she just points at her target like, you! And she just can't be stopped no matter what. Hard diving the backline, regardless whether she's inting or not, will just dive endlessly.
And she does it with such vigor, right? Like, you can't help but be impressed by the audaciousness of which Arcadian says, no, I'm going to go in. I don't care. We're going to go for this, guys. With the turrets and the inhibitor still there. Unfortunately, the rest of the team not able to follow up, but thanks to Super Duper's nice flank and Tegan's just not really getting focused there because they kind of need to deal with Xasus, because even though Tegan is the one that's fed, at this point in the game, the damage that comes through in a team fight from a Sivir is just disgusting, with the Phantom Dancer now also finished.
Yeah, the amount of damage and survivability she now has. We saw how long, even when she got bursted low, she survived in that last fight. That was what enabled them to be able to get the turnaround from Kennen as he dove the backline. So Xasus just has to survive, just has to slow the pace of these fights down and dictate it with his bonus movement speed, with the ability to kite back. Just give Kennen the space to be able to find a flank or simply just hard carry for him.
I'm really impressed with... I feel like Super Duper's just been split pushing the entire game, but he still somehow has, 6 kills and 5 assists. Like, he's just always been where he needs to be. As he finds the first Nexus turret as well, he's able to get out there with not even having to use Slicing Maelstrom. Now, the rest of the team from the Rams need to try and hold off this turret. They're already chunked down so low as they find the route on Super Duper, but he's gone already, as the rest of the team is working on the final inhibitor here. Once that falls, the Bradford Rams are 10k gold down with 30 minutes. They are 3 inhibitors down. They need to find an absolute miracle, but this team fight from the Smugglers is so incredibly oppressive. A final Hail Mary play, but it might have been too late. Acadian goes in, but the Nexus is already open. Drenderford tries to go in, gets tagged immediately. No reset available. Super Duper finds and 7 Kiddo, and that's going to be the end of the first game between the Bristol Smugglers and the Bradford Rams, as we see the Smugglers go up 1-0 after a commanding first game victory.
And we said, even though the individual members of Bradford outscaled the 5v5 death boys, proves to be too strong for them. And the mid game was where it all fell apart. We said the early game, they were able to slow down the pace. They're able to get what they wanted, dodge the laning phase. But the moment we saw 2v2s, 3v3s, it all fell apart, and they overcommitted to that fight at Blue Buff. That was the one that really won, really cost them the game.
I got to agree with you there. I feel like from that point on, they almost got back into it with the Baron steal, but the Baron steal also, it really felt like it was nice execution from the Rams, but it's also the only really big mistake, in my opinion, that we saw the Smugglers make, because initially the Smugglers weren't doing a lot, but they weren't making mistakes, whereas that's the kind of mistake that loses you games, but that's such a big lead that it didn't really matter as much.
But you saw the exact kind of tempo that they wanted to execute on. And the fact that the Baron goes down, and it was clearly a mistake where they get rid of N7, but they can't stop Drandelford getting into the Baron pit. So what ends up leading to is them slowing the tempo of the game, slowing the pace of the game, for a few minutes, waiting until the Baron's up, and instantly they put their feet back on the gas, and it sped right back up the moment they could get control, the moment that Baron buff ended.
Yeah, because once that gone, you can start pushing through again. And so, Sin, after the first game between Tante Guardians, you gave a great speech to Nottingham Arrows, which didn't do anything, unfortunately for them, as they lost the second game as well. Now, you see this game, you're the Rams, right? What do you do? What do you look? Do you look inside? Do you look at your draft? Do you look at your picks? Do you look at, a riveting speech from your coach? What do you need to turn it around in the second game and get us to a third game in this best of three? Because 2-2-0s, we've had it happen before with Belong Arena Clash, but usually one of the matches doesn't go the way that you expect. Do you think that it's going to be this one?
They didn't play to their win condition. That was the clearest thing to me. They struggled to play to their win condition. If they can do it this time, if they can buy into the late game scaling and not get caught out in those stupid fights where they don't need to be, where they don't need to send that many members, where they don't need to send that many resources, then maybe they can stall the game out. Maybe they can get to a point where they actually win out those fights, because that Baron steal was really good in terms of the execution. We can see that this team can execute on the micro plays. It's just a case of getting to a phase where the champions are relevant at that point.
So the Civ are already taken off the board. And I got to say, I do feel like that cannon was such a big issue as well, because it never really got shut down in lane. And then it completely took over the mid to late game team fights, where even though team fight might look good, the moment that Super Duper joined, it was just over. There was nothing that they could do.
Kennen, when he gets to oppress the lane, ends up just sitting in the side lane, untouchable. He has all that safety from pressing E. And there was nothing really that Bradford could do to stop him.
Obviously, Sejuani getting taken, and immediately the Brom gets taken away. I quite like that. I feel like Sejuani and Brom is, one of those combinations that
they're going for the glacial synergy away.
Yeah, you got Permafrost combined with concussive blows, and that you just keep stacking those 4 melee hit stuns. And Lucian Brom, and this is also, I don't know how you feel about this, Sim, but this to me is a signal. If you just first pick Lucian Brom in your first rotation as the smugglers, say, well, we're going to stomp
them with the Caitlyn Morgana or Caitlyn Lux. Caitlyn Morgana or Caitlyn Lux is always the thing. Yeah, this is the punishment. This is, you overstated, and now you are going to get punished for it. The Caitlyn Morgana, the long-range pick potential, and the fact that they're going to dominate this lane early is a really rough situation for Bristol Smugglers to have found themselves in, because they overcommitted with the Lucian pick. They showed too much. They committed too early.
I got to say, though, we didn't really get a good look at the 2v2 last time between the Rams and the Smugglers, because Zazuz and Addy played a normal lane, whereas Chop and Darken with the Yuumi lane, you're never really going to get a good representation. So to me, this is also a really interesting to look at whether or not the Rams actually are able to match in terms of bot lane prowess, or whether or not the Smugglers were just kind of mitigated by how evasive a Yuumi lane is, as we do see the Vi getting taken away there. And I got to say, Acadian's aggressive play, barring some unfortunate over-engagements, was really good, because I do feel like it was him camping that
bot lane. Oh, this is going 1-1. They've just... This draft has gone so heavily in the favor of Bradford Rams that Bristol just gave them everything. They showed the bot lane in the first rotation. They get picked hard countered by the Caitlyn Morgana. The Sejuani Aurelia comes through, the strongest 2v2 in the game right now, and you get a Karma on top of it. This is disgusting team comp, and I don't see how Bradford can lose with this many tools at their disposal unless they get massively snowballed on really early.
So if you've ever had a word with Stan, which obviously you have, you know that he probably makes a lot of fun of my predictions as well. I don't know if you've caught that, but if not, you should ask him about it. He has a whole thing about it. More importantly, my predictions are always wrong. Well, I got to say, I think the Smugglers are going to take this one. I think we're going to see it 2-0, because while I agree with you that the draft from the Rams is really good here, and I really like the picks that we're going for, I didn't particularly like Dryden on the Karma here, because last time we saw how that matchup went, and it's not good. Now, the fact that Dranoford is on a tank as opposed to the Aatrox, I quite like, but we haven't seen the bot lane yet, where Zazuz and Addy really impressed me with their early aggressive play, and Tegan, on the Vel'Koz, he was already really strong. And I feel like Victor is even more extreme in that if he can get ahead in the mid game, if he can safely skill to late game, the amount of consistent damage that he's going to be able to do is just absolutely insane.
The way I see it right now is in the early game, they have 3 losing lanes and a losing jungle matchup. The Lee Sin can try and get the jump on the Sejuani, but if you find him in a 2v2, Lee Sin's pretty dead. So it's a really hard situation to ever get any kind of consistent advantage in. So you have to rely on the Victor to be able to pressure out the Aurelia early because he's going to have that wave clear advantage over her. You have to rely on the Lucian Braum to be able to find a pick on a Morgana or a Caitlyn who is out of position. Yeah, it's more, at this point, you have to rely on the mistakes of your opponent to be able to punish them rather than the strength of your own composition.
Yeah, but do you think that is a bad route to take after how last game went?
I do think that's a bad route to take because they've just basically gone solo carry across the board when they didn't really stomp their opponents in every lane. It was very even early, and it was the mid game where they shone. So they've gone for let's stomp them early game. When last game they weren't able to do that. When their opponent drafted hard late game champions to dodge lane.
Don't you feel like it was like starting at the level? It wasn't really the early game, but from like level 6 to level 9, we already saw the dominance coming through. And I feel like with a Lucian Braum, like you can get ahead in the early levels, but even once you start hitting level 6, once you get the Dragon's Rage, once you get Slicing Maelstrom again, and once you get the Glacial Fissure and the Culling, don't you feel like specifically last time the Smugglers tried to play aggressive a lot of times, didn't really have the opportunity to, and now actually have the tools to snowball lead even more aggressively?
I just look at it as simply as Caitlyn has a long enough range and Morgana has the Black Shield to completely deny any aggression this bot lane wants to try. So it becomes exceedingly difficult to really get these engages off that they need to be able to snowball this advantage. So the Caitlyn struggles in the mid game, and that's really the point at which they have to capitalize. When the Caitlyn hasn't, if the Caitlyn doesn't take down this bot lane tower first and start lane swapping, they can punish her. But if the Caitlyn gets first tower, the game is pretty much already over because she lane swaps, takes the top tower, then she's able to set up a mid lane siege with all the traps, and it becomes nigh impossible to stop.
Especially with the front line of a Sejuani and a Karma to back that up.
If the wave clear of it as well. Yeah,
exactly. Especially if we see Dryden go for a similar style where he goes for more aggressive or a more tanky build rather as opposed to something more aggressive with a little bit more damage. I got to say though, I know that Stan will give me a lot of grief if I predict wrong once again, but I think it's a new season. You know, I'm gonna take a risk. I think the Smuggler's gonna take this 1-2-0. Whether or not that remains to be seen. But I'm looking at Acadian because his Vi play, once he hit level 6, was really impressive to me. I feel like he was able to properly prioritize where to go at what point in time. And I'm hoping we see the same thing here. Whereas Drandlefoot, he's going to take a little bit longer to scale up as he goes for a full clear here of his right side jungle.
The issue that I have, though, Mao, is I understand that based on the play that you saw last game, I can understand why you'd want to just say that Bristol can take this. But I'm looking at this like, you look at the draft, you look at the compositions, 9 times out of 10, with no nameplates here, blue side should win. It's
but you can't disregard.
Cut and dry.
You can't disregard nameplates though. Like,
it's just like, but when the draft is that hard winning, it's hard for there to be much more beyond that. As Lucian does find a nice play there, but it's still just being zoned off of the wave.
Yeah, but if Chop's already taken this low, I don't know, man. I think the Smugglers are going to stomp him, but we'll see, Sim, because I like to disagree.
You might well be right.
Creates a lot of.
Well be right, yeah.
That creates a lot of interesting dynamics, and I'm not going to hold it over your hat. Don't worry. Now we see Sagan gets tagged, has to flash away immediately, not to get tagged by the Flawless Duets or the Arctic Assault there, and that means that Victor, one of his big weaknesses is, of course, that once he doesn't have the flash, he's kind of a sit and duck, only has the gravity field available to try and stay alive for all of it. Will have the cleanse though, which is going to help him just a little bit in staying alive with those repeated Sejuani Kings possibly coming through here from Drandlefoot.
It's going to come a lot down to jungle pressure, you have to say, as Acadian has a big task on him to be able to set these lanes in motion. A nice binding is going to chunk out Zizos.
Yeah, it takes a lot of damage. Also, running the cleanse, by the way, so no heal available for the Bristol Smugglers bot line here.
Double cleanse, in fact, because you see it in the mid lane as well. Yeah, this is a really high respect to the Morgana plus Sejuani combo.
I quite like that. I think that's not a bad call to make. I think your laning is going to suffer a little bit, though.
One of the things that's important to note about it is, in that mid lane 2v2 that we talked about, that is the strongest 2v2 in the game when they actually get to fight in that melee range, running Cleanse against it. Cleanse lowers the... Well, Cleanse basically gives you tenacity after you use it for a few seconds. In a duo that wants to consistently layer all the CC, that's even more valuable, so it's becomes that much more important.
A lot of back and forth fighting as Dranderford, I think, was the one picking up. No, it's Arcadian who finds it. Dranderford goes in aggressively here, takes a lot of damage, has to be careful not to get tagged by the Sonic Wave. With N7 Kiddo there, not a lot of room available. The scuttle does go to Arcadian, essentially. Neither of them had Smite available there, I think, as it came down to the very last auto attack. And imagine if that's picked up by Dranderford there and Arcadian doesn't get the heal from that, because that might have looked really ugly had that happened.
It's Bristol, I gotta say, I've been impressed with how Zizos has been playing this lane thus far. He's been able to go super aggressively, now with Arcadian here.
Already gets tagged by the concussive blows. There comes the Sonic Wave. Flash for the final hit, and Darkin is going to get taken down. First blood comes through for Arcadian. He's not messing around, just flashes on top of it. And the same for Addy. And this is the decisiveness that we saw from the Smugglers early on. And you got to imagine that Black Shield was used earlier there because Darkin didn't really have the time. No.
He used it on Chop as they jumped on him.
Ah, there we go. That is awkward.
He completely used it on the wrong target. And in the end, it doesn't matter how well you draft when you execute poorly, as he gets jumped on, and the place where he's meant to be strongest in just denying the aggression, he gets caught out, he dies for it, and he gives over first blood to Lee Sin.
The way you say that makes me feel like it's not a good thing. Is that correct?
No, it's not a good thing. This is a lane matchup that's meant to be super easy to win, play safe, wave clear out, and then have full control, but the way Zizos has been playing it and the way Darkin has been playing it has turned it completely to the point where this is advantageous for the Lucian Braum.
And how that is going to influence games remains to be seen, because it is, of course, not the biggest of gold. He's only 400 gold here at 6 minutes. That is still more than manageable if they can find maybe a repeat play here and there.
I don't like that at all. Arcadian going for the early Tiamat. It helps his wave clear.
As Tegan gets tagged, he's going to use the cleanse, but I feel like that's a little bit of a waste because by that point he's already eaten so much damage, taken down by the Vanguard's Edge. N7 Kiddo using a flash there as well, and now Dryden. We saw what happened last time, how easily he gets taken down, but with the teleport coming through from N7 Kiddo, no actual ability to make something work, and the Rams are fighting back.
Rams trying to make their own plays as they find that strong 2v2 in the mid lane, and then catching out Tegan, and in the top side in the response, it's just super duper, and Arcadian want to make that play, but all the same, I want to go back to Arcadian here. He's built the Tiamat, and we mentioned before that Tiamat has increased in cost from how it used to be when junglers would rush it. It's actually way more efficient just to rush Warriors Enchant right now, because the amount of gold that it saves you in terms of the stats that it gives you is so massive that you're basically trolling if you're doing anything else. So the Tiamat is helping him wave clear to give him more ganking opportunities, but it means his damage is significantly lowered.
That is true, although with the laning setups that he has, I don't think damage is going to be the problem. Remains to be seen whether or not this is actually going to pay off, as Zazes once again goes forward, Chop dodges and has the Black Shield, so he's double as safe. But they're still at a mining deficit here. And I think once Zazes gets his Blade of the Rune King, it might be looking a lot more awkward. That Cutlass is going to make a big difference in how much damage the Lucian is going to be doing. And once again, now we see the Smugglers attempt these mid-game fights, attempt these mid-game tempo plays now that the ultimate star come in line. But the Rams, like last time, are able to hold on. Now we see that Arcadian's red is getting taken, but he retaliates with... Doesn't really surprise anyone at this point. Yet another Ocean Dragon.
the aggression bot lane forcing the
Never
flash.
mind. He chose instead to go once again for Darkin as another kill goes to the Smugglers. This time it's picked up by Zizos. And I thought that Arcadian, I think he went for Dragon and then decided, nope, never mind. Gonna go for free kill on Darkin once again here, as Chop is also forced to use his flash. And now Acadian, actually, he's fairly low to be doing this. Now, with the help of Addy, he should be fine. And with Drandeford nowhere near this objective, that's going to be, I think, the 4th Ocean Dragon in a row for the Bristol Smugglers here.
Yeah, with the Dragon, with the Spell Vamp and Life Steal that you get off Police NW, he's happy to be able to take that one and get the shield for himself as well. It's just, you can actually fight quite efficiently on low HP when you are trying to take a dragon, but all the same, another Ocean Dragon, as you say. And who says dragons are RNG? We've had probably 12 Ocean Dragons today.
Yeah, because I think we had like 2 sets of 3 Ocean Dragons in the first series as well.
Yeah.
At least 1 set of 3. I'm not too sure about the other one, but I'm sure someone can.
There was 2 oceans, then a cloud, I believe, and then the next one was going to be an ocean.
Even better. Love that even more. Throw a silly cloud in there as well, as we see Acadian now starting to build toward his jungle item with the skirmishes of the Saber now finished, as the Frozen Smite is the Bottside Scuttle surely to be his, and the gold lead now at 10 minutes, barely existent for the Smugglers. Like, it was a little bit bigger, but after a nice play from the Rams, they've basically negated that, meaning that if we move forward here, the Smugglers, they need to accelerate again, because this was really the point where last time they started to take over the game. And as you said, Sin, it's also where they need to take over the game.
Yeah, so they're going into the culling full channel into Darkin. He's gone really low off the back of that one. They should be looking to at least try and get some damage on these tower shards.
And Acadian making his way over as well. He's been here every single time to pick up Darkin when the opportunity is there. They don't have any vision on Drandeford though, so they decide the better of maybe going for yet another dive. And diving a Morgana with stopwatch, that's never a fun prospect. As Super Duper starting to do the same thing that we saw him do earlier, where early on he's not really finding a lead, and then once that Spirit Visage is finished, he's not really going to damage Trident, but it doesn't matter nearly as much because it's not him he's looking for. It's
not even the Spirit Visage this game, it's the Adaptive Helm coming through.
Oh yeah, even better, as Darkin, is it going to be a 3rd death in a row? It sure looked like it. 80 has to go back in there. That's not great, as he gets taken down there by Chop, finally giving him a kill. Xazus goes in for the flash, finds it as well, and with the double tap gets himself another kill there. Absolutely amazing play coming through from Xazus, really showing his dominance, as we see Acadian. He can chew through the damage from Trident here because Super Duper on his own doesn't really do anything. Dragon Rage comes through, resonating strike, and that's going to be the end of the Karma in the top lane. And the Bristol Smugglers once again start to take control of this game. Xazus though needs to be careful but does not get tagged enough by Permafrost to proc. And that's going to be it for the Rams for now. And now, in only a minute, the gold lead has ballooned to 1k.
I want to come back to that bot lane play, though, from Xazus. He played so well off the back of that one. And we've seen a lot of ballsy AD carries today as he flashes aggressively, goes in hard onto Sharp and is able to avenge his support. Nice for him to come out 2-0-2. He's been playing hyper-aggressive in this lane, always dashing forward, never dashing away. And it's led to a really nice lead for them.
And Acadian picking up yet another objective here as they find the Rift Herald. Probably going to throw that down somewhere to get those plates if they want to do pre-14 minutes. They do leave their own turret open though, because the roam from Addy means that there is no one to defend that bot side wave. Unfortunately for the Rams, they don't have a wave themselves currently, and we were talking about this Morgana and Caitlyn lane and how oppressive it is, how the early game pressure and the turret pushing potential is there. But up until this point, it hasn't really come to fruition, saying as the teleport comes through here from Super Duper, they just keep hitting the turret, but I don't think that's going to end very well as AD makes his way over there. The Ignite immediately gets used. Chop doesn't get tagged with the final concussive blows yet, but it doesn't matter as just Super Duper's existence there is enough. The double teleport comes through once again, and 7kiddo is there. Xazus is still alive. And finally, they get Addy and Xazus. Slicing Meals are still available, but Super Duper doesn't want to go in on his own. Actually, correct me there. Doesn't have it available. Dryden, though, picks another turret shot. I don't think he can really afford to do that, and it's going to be a race for first turret block. But with the Herald, it's going to go to the Bradford Rams and Super Duper. He's not giving up this turret whatsoever as they take way too many turret shots. Gone alive in the end, though.
And the Rift Herald's still getting the extra charge off mid lane. They get the first tower, and he's still chasing for more. Super duper.
He hasn't had enough, goes back in, and is he going to be able to get the kill there? Unfortunately not, as the reset comes through. But Darkin once again gets tagged by a Sonic Wave. Acadian goes in, and the smite takes him down there. And what a performance here from the Bristol Smugglers.
Yeah, suddenly making a few plays back to back, and super duper. This man has been on it today, and really nice play again. Heads up play to be able to get onto that tower, stop them from taking it, and ensure that his team gets the first tower blood.
And the Bradford Rams, they're holding on strong. They're not giving up. They have a 2-0 Aurelia in N7 Kiddo. And Dryden now with the adaptive helm finish is going to be really hard to take down. And finally, Sin, we have a relevant dragon as the Infernal Dragon. Just by the time that we got, to say something nice about how it's finally there, it's already taken down. As Addy once again goes hyper aggressive, and we keep seeing him doing this consistently throughout these games.
Yeah, it's Addy and Zazors have just been going forward time and time again. So strong from them, and it was in a lane matchup that they were meant to lose. It was a lane matchup that they came in saying they wanted to go aggressive anyway, and they pressure into the Caitlyn Morgana. They find a couple picks. Now 4-1-2 on Zazors. He is set up to transition into that crit build. He is set up to hard carry.
And he has a lot of other damage available from his Arcadian. Still doesn't have the Warriors to chance finish. Zazors might have been a little bit too overeager as he gets tagged. The binding does get sidestepped, so does the Sejuani ultimate. Is he actually going to be able to get out of it? That would be absolutely mental. Uses the calling. There is the
no!
With the dash, it doesn't get blocked. Unfortunately, as Acadian goes in, he's going to get taken down. And that is so much money into the pockets of Chop there.
Yeah, almost turned it around, but makes the play. And Zazors dashes out of the way of the Braum shield, ends up losing the first tower, and Braum going to lose his life as well. As 3 kills go over back-to-back to Chop, and he goes from 1-1 directly to 4-2-1. That bot lane tower's down. Now if we can see what we said before, the lane swap into sieging up mid, it becomes so hard to stop.
It really does. I do feel like we've already reached a point where a cannon flank is absolutely debilitating, so they need to be careful there as Chop takes a stun to the face but is able to get out regardless. And these are the types of mistakes you can't afford to make as the Smugglers, because I feel like in a straight-up 5v5 team fight, unless you can really get Zazors even further out, it's going to be so hard. And it was doable, but now with Chop getting so much fresh gold into the pockets, that might change the pace of the game as we see it here.
Even though Darkin's been having a terrible game, it's sitting at 0-6, really having a rough one. The rest of the team is showing up, and this gives you hope. This is the tools that this draft gave them, and they are showing what they can do now in the mid game.
Sanva Kiddo, though, he's off on his own, and with the 3 people coming to his in a turret that is incredibly low in life, I don't know how well this is going to be going, as Dragonfoot is on his way and they can't actually get the pick. They're going to go for the Sejuani instead, take her with the concussive blows, take a real low. Acadian is able to sidestep the flawless duet. Banger's Arch comes down. Acadian doesn't get hit with the permafrost yet. There comes Super Duper. Glacial Fissure means that they're actually going to get a clean double kill here, and some really fancy feed from Acadian and AD means that it's once again the Bristol Smugglers who find the outplay there.
The early collapse from the Bristol Smugglers gives them it in a super duper right place, right time yet again. This man is proving to be the hard carry for his team in this game, and even in the bot lane, they've been playing so aggressively, playing so well. It's always super duper that is the center of the action.
And I remember that Tegan last time had a similar game where early game, not too much happened, but then he was just able to snowball from that point on once he got an item or two. And I think we might see the same thing happening now that the Smugglers pick up a sizable gold lead yet again. And it's really Addy and Acadian who are the big winners here for me, because yes, Super Duper has been playing amazing, so has Zazors on an individual level, but these consistent roams from the combination of that Braum and Lee Sin just seems so hard to deal with for the Rams.
Yeah, Acadian doing what TSM Acadian doesn't, and actually making plays, trying to get his team leads. And that's what's been making him. That's what's been making him the stronger jungler of this game. Because Drandalfurt, he had a game one where we pretty much said he wanted to just power farm, still tried to do some things and still couldn't keep up with Acadian. Once again, Acadian stepping up and stepping up above Drandalfoot, you have to say.
I don't even know if I agree with you there, Sim, because Drandalfoot has been involved with 7 out of the 8 kills that his team has gotten, right? So,
I look at that though. I look at that though, and I think how much of that is just off of the back of he's there with the Aurelia.
He was there with Chop as well, right? He was there where we needed to be, and Dryden gets tagged there. He's very tanky. He's going to stand forward there, and that is going to be the end of that. It takes a while to take the Karma down, but nothing can stop it then. Darken steps forward too far yet again, gets taken down. And now the Bristol Smugglers are just looking like they're consistently punishing. They're consistently just cleaning up as 3 people push down towards the mid lane, 2 people down, a lot of wave clear gone. It's just Chop now we can hold, but Arcadian, is looking for a big play. Whereas Super Duper, we've seen him do this time and time again, just sits in the sideline and waits until he is really needed.
Yeah, as they can't get the inhibitor likely here, but they're going to try and back away, get control of the jungle as the Baron is about to spawn once again. This is a 3rd game in a row, I believe, that they're looking around a 20-minute Baron.
And this time, they do have the Black Cleaver available, meaning that they will be able to shred through it relatively fast. No Mountain Drake, unfortunately, that's going to make that even easier. But the constant pressure from the Smugglers and these skirmishes that they're able to find time and time again has really been impressing these. The Rams, they hold in tough here. They still have a great team fight. They have a lot of tools available to them. But can they find the fight that they are looking for as Chop gets tagged? The teleport comes through and they look for the engage. They go in. There is the engagement. Glacial Fissure means that they can't really go for it right now. No one gets hit by the Glacial Prison. Danderford just keeps on moving, but Super Duper has the teleport available. He's just not going for it. Zazuz gets taken low.
Here it is.
To try and stay alive. And there is the teleport coming through from the cannon. Super Duper finds 1, finds 2, finds 3. And is able to completely blow up the back line. We see that Kiddo tries to go in to maybe go for a Hail Mary play, but it's not nearly enough. And you gotta imagine that that's going to be the Baron for the Bristol Smugglers here, Sin.
Super Duper, like you said, he sat in the bot lane with his TP, waiting, raring to go. And the moment they overstep, he is ready to make the collapse happen. He pulls it off. Gets a really nice cannon ultimate, and once again the fight turns off of the back of another Super Duper ultimate.
Zazuz just flashes over the wall trying to completely demolish Chop, but it's not enough in the end. It was a very flashy looking play, but you know, then
gets the flash for flash at least.
You'll take it.
Honestly, the Caitlyn splash is worth more than his at this point, because the rest of his team is so fed that they don't necessarily need him, whereas Caitlyn is the only strength.
Oh yeah, no. I don't think it was a bad play, but you know, you gotta imagine if you're Zazuz, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna flash over this wall near there, like,
yeah, this is going in the highlight reel, guys.
Yeah, I guess I go back to Baron then. Let's not talk about this too much. Just gonna waddle back, you know, start hitting the Baron. As now we see Zazuz gets back, picks up a Zeal, and like you say, with the Black Cleaver though, it's not going for the crit build that we've seen emerge a lot as well. Instead going for a more traditional shreddy build, but with the upfront damage that the rest of his team has, I can't fault him for it. As they pick up, what do you think it's going to be, Sin?
Oh, he's going to go into the Phantom Dance directly into
No. I was inquiring as to which Drake.
Oh, it's the Ocean Dragon. Okay.
Yet again.
I can pretend I didn't notice, but it's an Ocean Dragon. It's always an Ocean Dragon.
It always is. It really always is, isn't it? And just as we've seen on the Oceans today, I got a feeling that the Bradford Rams, they need to make a miracle team fight happen here to somehow find their way back into this game. And I would not like to see another 2-0 Sin, because I love me some upsets. But it's not looking too good now with the QSS also available for Super Duper. Once he goes in, it's nothing that you can really do to stop him. As
He's had the QSS for quite a while, actually. He bought the QSS immediately after the Gunblade. He's really prioritized finding these flanks where he doesn't get stunned and is able to get the full ultimate channel off. So, really interesting choice from him, but it's been working out so far.
Really has been. Dryden's going for the Ardent Sensor, really showing that they know who they need to carry here. And it's Chop, and he needs to find the team fight of his life if he wants to stay alive here. But it's so incredibly hard for him.
Yeah, he still hasn't got that extra crit item. You really need the static shiv on top of it so you can start getting those Energizer hits, really shredding your opponents. But right now, he just doesn't have that available to him. He's managed to get a few kills, but he's still so far down compared to Zazos.
See, Tegan eats a binding, doesn't really care. The rest of his team is there, so no follow-up is available. And N7 Kiddo had such a great start of this game in the Aurelia, able to find some key kills, but the capitalization just hasn't been there. Super Duper just continuously... He doesn't even need to do anything. He's Baroned up cannon minions standing there, shooting big, bright bullets towards the turret.
But meanwhile, Tegan in the mid lane, he's looking to just try and break open that inhibitor while they're spread thin. Even if you can spread them thinner, open up the side lane towers.
And
see, they have to back off instantly to try and stop him. And the moment that they send so many members to try and deal with him, they can push back in on the top side. They can start trying to make something happen up here to get the wave into the tower.
Colin gets used aggressively, and now the Bradford Rams are all incredibly low as Zazos goes in once again, wants to go for the highlight play. The Glacial Prison, or Fisher rather, does not hit anyone as Drandlefoot, his itemization does not allow him to fight a Victor, and everything is crumbling here for the Bradford Rams. They were able to hold on for a really long time, but in the end, the Bristol Smugglers find one kill, find an inhibitor, and I can't imagine they're going to let up it with the Baron buff still alive and kicking.
Yeah, they split the fight into 3 parts, and they win on all 3 sides. Like we said earlier, it's divide and conquer, and Bristol Smugglers, they're conquering the base.
Yeah, and the flawless duet gets flashed, and N7 Kiddo is actually able to stay away and get away with his life here. The QSS also still available for Super Duper. Doesn't win the 1v1 though, so crucially... needs a third item. I think N7 Kiddo needs to actually be with the rest of the team. But if you don't keep
I think honestly
Super
the biggest
away,
thing for N7 right now is he needs to know what he's building. He's currently got a bunch of pieces with nothing going anywhere.
Yeah, so that's a Hex Drinker. That's a part of a Wit's End.
Yeah.
Part of what I assume is going to be a Titanic Hydra. A lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's just a bunch of pieces with no completed items, and it means he doesn't hit those power spikes. He's just nowhere near as relevant as a Victor who power spikes every single time he gets 1,000 gold.
Yeah, it's looking rough for the Rams here, but the Baron is a little bit away. And as long as you can keep Super Duper away from these fights, I think you're going to feel rather comfortable. Now, a single flank, let's be honest, is going to end the game here. If that cannon finds its way into the back line, then I don't think there's anything that the Bradford Rams can do to stay alive here. But their defense has been admirable. They were able to fight up a multi-pronged attack, losing one inhibitor, but considering they were up against the Baron buff, that's a sacrifice you're willing to take.
Yeah, and they unfortunately have to be as they're just being given no choice in these situations. They have to send somebody to respond to Tegan in the mid lane. And it just means they lose on both the other sides because they can't send members. They can't get a member advantage. They've got so much of a goal deficit.
Super Duper gets taken down, does use his QSS to stay alive for a little bit longer, but you send 2 people to deal with the cannon, and the rest of the team is going to have an easy time taking them down. Chop, though, finds the kill on the Cadian, has to use his flash and heal, and this does mean that yet another inhibitor is going to fall. Drandlefoot is recalling, but with this inhibitor down, the Baron that is going to spawn rather soon might very well mean the demise, but the Bradford Rams, they're not giving up. No Glacial Prison is available. Drandlefoot tries to go through, and N7 Kiddo weaves his way past that gravity well to try and get on top of the rest of his team. Zazos is alive. There is the Winter's Bite proc, and the stun comes through on Zazos, but he's not dying as of yet. And N7 Kiddo tries to kill, but does not find it. And that is once again Zazos, who gets away with just a sliver of health, and that might very well open up the Baron once they've resetted. As the Bradford Rams, they keep on trying, but the gold lead at 28 minutes is still firmly in the lead for the Bristol Smugglers.
Yeah, you can see with even with almost an 8 to 9k gold deficit, what the Aurelia can do, even with these pieces of items. You can see what the draft was from Bradford Rams. You can see the plans and how they would have worked, but it all just fell apart with that early game. Zazos wasn't meant to be this fed. It wasn't meant to be this way. They never asked for this, but they're being forced right into it.
You got to give it to Zazos, though. He really worked for that advantage, as we see.
Oh, he really worked for it, yeah.
A Cloud Dragon.
Every single time he could dash forward, he dashed forwards.
Or
He got
Flash.
so much
you know,
damage. Yeah,
he's
even
not picky.
Flash.
Yeah, no, he
Exactly.
flashes forward as well. As he's not going to
Full
try
respect.
and fight a Thornhill Sejuani here, but they do see that Sejuani at the Cloud Dragon and say, well, sure, we'll take that. As they immediately start up a Baron Nashor here, and you got to imagine the Cloud Dragon trading for a Baron is not the kind of trade that you want to take. And with this objective going over to the Smugglers, they might very well be a nail in the coffin, but they're not in a place to contest. It goes down very slowly because Zazos wasn't there, but they are able to pick it up. And now Addy is looking for an aggression. Darkson is fairly far forward, gets tagged by the Winter Spite, concussive blows, is not going to get procced as of yet. And there is the calling. Darkson is taken down yet again. He's not having the
That kick
greatest
might
of
spell the
games.
end.
And that might very well spell the doom. There comes AD, jumps forward, flashes forward, Glacial Fisher comes through. Zazors finds yet another kill as he's looking to solidify his MVP. Acadian jumps in, gets blown up immediately by Chopper, but him even standing forward for just a second means that he gets blown up himself as well. And with just Dramaford and Kiddo, I don't see the Bristol Smugglers holding on here. Or rather, the Bradford Ram holding on as the Bristol Smugglers push on through. Tegan has only died once this entire game. Zazos is still alive, and that will be the end of the first night of the Belong Arena Clash as the Bradford Rams fall 2-0 to the Bristol Smugglers here, Sin.
And the Bristol Smugglers, they fight through what we said was a hard losing draft to win out
No.
convincingly.
You said it was a hard losing draft, and
Hey,
I'd like
it
to.
is.
I'd like to call back to me saying that this was not the case, and I said I wasn't gonna, call you out on it, but obviously I won, so I am. But let's not go.
Is this how it is? If you win, you call me out. If you lose, you want to forget and move on from it.
I don't.
That's how
No, because if we lose, then we don't talk about it anymore. That's how it works. But all jokes aside, let's not get into result-oriented thinking. Because regardless of the draft, because I got to say, in all honesty, kind of agree with you there. Really good draft from the Rams, but just the level of play and kind of just outstyling their opponents that we saw from the Smugglers was really impressive.
Yeah, the Smugglers were just able to win out through bot lane so convincingly, and the bot lane just looked so much stronger than their opponents throughout. And really, the Lucian, just every single time it dashed forward, you could just see the panic from the Morgana and the Caitlyn. They were just like, wait, he isn't meant to be doing this. He's meant to be pinned under his tower the entire laning phase. Why is he dashing forwards?
And I think a big part of that was also Acadian, who, in these key moments, whenever Darken was just a little bit too far forward, was able to find his way down to that bot side. Like we saw Wilkes do in the first game, just one or two ganks is enough to really get these bot lanes going. And I got to say, I'm really impressed with what we saw Zazos do here today, because even though the rest of his team deserves a lot of credit, Super Duper's pressure was insane, and Acadian did great, and Tegan played as solid as you can expect, he was really the highlight of this match.
Yeah, definitely so. I think there's a lot of players who showed up here today. I don't think anybody really had a bad day. Super Duper was my personal favorite for all the cannon flanks. So I think Bradford could come out looking really, Bristol rather can come out looking really optimistically towards the future as Bradford just rolled over for them by the end of the series.
Yeah, I agree with that. They tried to give it a roll and they kept fighting, and I really liked their, because I've also seen teams just kind of roll over, give everything up freely, and then just slowly bleed out in the game like this. But instead, they kept their fighting spirit up, and you got to say, that's impressive going into the next game, but you got to step up that level of play, the consistency, if you want to start getting the wins against these better teams. And unfortunately for you and me and the viewers, Sin, that's going to be it for tonight because we have no more games to cast.
Unfortunately so, but I'll be back next week with Stan. It's been great seeing you. Is it Stan back next week, or is it you still here?
That's a very good question that I'm sure we're going to have an answer to eventually. I won't be the one giving you that answer, though, unfortunately. I was Maritz Chronicler Music, joined by Sin Stewart McLeod, and we had some amazing games here today. We saw the Tyneside Guardians take it 2-0. Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Honestly, some amazing 80 carries today.
Yeah, it was the day of the better bot lane that we saw here today. And then the second game, Zays, of course, with the mechanical outplay. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with more League of Legends, more Belong Arena Clash next week at the same time. See you then.